exercising their Second Amendment right to bear arms and say the protest was not peaceful. The protesters say they were trying to get to the home of the mayor. Wall Street at the close, the president's decision to end stimulus relief negotiations sending stocks into the red. The Dow lost 375, the Nasdaq minus 177, the S&P down 47. America is listening to Fox News.
Adjusting to a new normal means we need to be smart about how we do business. Thousands of small business owners have discovered the benefits of Stamps.com and kept their businesses running while avoiding trips to the post office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and you'll never pay full price, with access to discounted rates you can't even get at the post office, like 5 cents off every stamp and up to 62% off USPS and UPS shipping rates. Don't waste time at the post office or UPS store. Print official stamps and labels right from your home or office computer for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, just leave it for your mail carrier, schedule a free package pickup, or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. That's Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis extended the state's deadline for voter registration to today after heavy online traffic crashed the website yesterday. Governor DeSantis says elections, motor vehicle, and tax collectors' offices will stay open for anyone who wants to register in person.
We really think it's important that there also be live people that can help, and that it's not just internet or nothing. Because, I mean, you can have the best site in the world. Sometimes there's hiccups on it. And so this way, people, even when they get off from work, they're going to have till 7 o'clock where they could be able to go do that.
The FBI and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency have warned elections officials nationwide that cyber attacks could disrupt their systems in the run-up to the election. More numbers on hiring, and they are not as strong as economists hoped.
There's another sign the job market was improving at a weaker pace in August. The Labor Department's job openings and labor turnover survey says hiring improved slightly, but employers advertised for fewer jobs.
Shortly after creating a profile on OkCupid.com, local man Malcolm Lighty, a person with severe psychological and emotional issues, told reporters he thought it was best to just never mention the fact there was something seriously wrong with him on the popular dating website.
The thing about online dating is you don't want to get too personal too quickly. Like, for example, how I'm a textbook narcissist with unresolved intimacy issues, or the fact that I have no sense of empathy. Nobody wants to hear about that. When you're making a first impression, it's important that you keep it casual and don't include too much information. You don't want to be talking about your inability to maintain a relationship because of a history of violent mood swings.
Lighty told reporters while his OkCupid profile includes extensive details about his favorite movies, love of cooking, and interest in cars, he thought he was, quote, just better off not mentioning the borderline personality disorder that makes it impossible for him to connect with another person on any kind of meaningful level.
This is the Onion News Network.
I recently signed up for one of these self-defense classes and brought along a camera crew to watch. Take a good look at this class instructor.
Thank you very much.
Boy, was he smooth. He tried to butter us up with flowery compliments like, good work, nice try.
Yeah.
But don't worry, folks, I wasn't letting my guard down for 1 second. Maybe he wasn't planning to attack me at all, but he could potentially plan to attack me at some point, and that left only one option. Take him out first. This is him. This is the guy. My quarry approached, and when the moment was right, I struck. Oh! I knew he'd be able to counter my every move if I just did what he had taught me, so instead, I did exactly the opposite. I beat him with a baseball bat.
I am Shelby Cross! Do not ever attack me!
Now, folks, I acknowledge that this man may have never been a threat, but a potential threat is just as dangerous as a real one. I don't play games with my life, and neither should you, and that's it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And man, California, just when you thought it was bad, it does something to make itself look even worse. Evidently now the governor's office in California is telling diners that they have to wear their masks in between bites.
This isn't fake news, is it? Like, this is actually...
Well, it's
really
coming to us
happened.
from Fox News, so I'm not willing to say it's not fake news, but it's coming from a mainstream media site at the very least.
So, like, they could have fooled Fox here, but ostensibly it's coming from a Twitter, right? And do they link to that Twitter?
They do, and they...
It's not just an image, it's an actual link to it. I was just curious.
Well, I don't know.
I should have asked you before the show.
I find it hard to believe, to not believe it at this point.
It's so believable.
I mean, it's at like this point in the game, it's like they're just seeing what they can get away with. You know, how much further can we push this, and with these dumb sheeple just suck it up? What does it take to crack the backs of these sheeps? Who's going to put up with this?
Well, they didn't put on goggles when Fauci said to. So there is some hope.
Well, he didn't say to do it. He suggested it, and that was my concern at the time. Is like that some of these governors would actually say it. They would actually mandate it through law, and that's when the people just do it. They just gobble it up.
So evidently, the office of California Governor Gavin Newsom has told residents in the Golden State that if they go out to eat, they should be wearing a mask, quote, in between bites, to protect themselves from COVID-19.
And that's not just getting up and using the bathroom and walking around. That is actually, I'm going to take a second. We're waiting in between dessert or the.
Yes, it means put some food into your mouth, pull up your mask, chew it and swallow it, and then repeat.
So you're just like that stupid. Have you seen some of these yahoos on they're cutting slits in their masks?
Are they really?
And they're videotaping themselves eating there in the restaurants.
Wow.
I saw an orchestra did that.
Yeah, with little zipper masks.
Yeah. Going out to eat with members of your household this weekend, an October the 3rd tweet from the office says, don't forget to keep your mask on in between bites.
Could this person really actually take that seriously, whoever it was that wrote that statement?
It would seem so. I mean, they take it seriously enough that they went on the governor's official Twitter account and tweeted that. And they haven't, this is diner tip number 1 from covid19.ca.gov. Minimize the number of times you take off your mask.
What in God's name are the other tips?
Yeah, I want to see the other tips.
I do too. You'll have to give me a moment to find those, however. So it's pretty clear here. It's showing someone sitting there with the menu. They're eating, then they're taking a bite, at which point they're allowed to take their mask off. And then they're chewing, at which point they have to have their mask back on. So it appears to be legitimate, but I'm trying to find these tips now. But the article goes on. For emphasis, the tweet shows an image of someone at a dining seat wearing a mask, then not wearing a mask. Well, I pretty much just described it. However, the image then advises people to minimize the number of times you take your mask off. But this is like maximizing the number of times.
How can they say one thing and then the other? I mean, what is it even supposed to mean? If I were to take that literally... if I were to be like this completely obedient person, just doing absolutely everything the government said, I would read that as, okay, you want me to keep the mask on while I'm chewing and then take the mask down when I want another bite, but you also want me to minimize the number of times that I touch the mask. So therefore I need to take big bites and like choke myself on food because you can't do both of those things.
I wonder if California's going to get like a ration of bites per meal that they can have if they're eating out. You have to eat your entire meal in 10 bites.
Well, how much further until we're just buying our food in liquid form and we're just taking it intravenously?
Well, probably quite a bit far from that.
Just Matrix style. Like we're all we're all in our little cubicles, locked at the house. And we got our Dorito flavored syrup over here. We got got my bourbon flavored syrup over here.
Well, on the subject of bubbles and cubicles and all of that, the vice presidential candidates are going to debate with 12 feet between them, twice the recommended COVID distance, right? But they're also going to have plexiglass surrounding them. Now, the Joe Biden team is against, not the Joe Biden team, the Mike Pence team is against this. Because it makes, COVID look like a threat, and Trump was just out there going, "Oh, it's not a big deal." Mm-hmm. So they don't want that. But yeah, they're
when
going
is this
all
debate?
out.
Is this tonight?
I don't know when the VP debate is.
Here's what they should do.
It's not going to be as entertaining as parts of the presidential debate were, though.
If they're going to have the whole plexiglass set up, they need to make it soundproof and have them on ropes so they can lower them and raise them, so that when someone's going, off the rails, they need to be shut up. And you can mute their mic, of course.
I don't expect that between Pence and Harris.
It'd be so much more satisfying to just have this soundproof cubicle just drop down over top of you.
Well,
shut up, Pence.
It would be good to see it happen to them, sure.
But you're right. Yeah, I don't think that Pence will. I do believe that Harris, she has a problem with going overtime, like way overtime, and she won't shut it up. I'm not really sure about Pence. I don't even know if he has any.
I've never seen the guy speak. I don't know anything about him.
I don't even know if he has any gaffes. I mean, if you're going to play a drinking game, a Harris Pence drinking game, what would you?
I don't know. I don't intend to watch it.
Well, I didn't watch the last one.
I tried to watch it and I did not make it. I could feel my brain cells attacking each other to try to put me into a coma. So I closed out of it, and I don't remember what I did instead. I think I played Minecraft or something.
We were having this show when it was taking place, so we were watching it in between commercials.
Yeah, we did watch some excerpts. Later that night, I did have something else I was doing where I could watch this thing at the same time, so I didn't feel like I was totally wasting my time. And I have to say, there were some parts that were pretty entertaining, but it was pretty stupid.
Yeah. That's how I felt about it.
I would not watch the vice presidential debate because there's no Trump, and there's no Biden, so it's not going
to. There's no humor to be derived from this. Right. It's just two serious political candidates going to be arguing about policy or whatever for an hour and a half. So
and the way that they see it from their from their side of the aisle, do you think that they're going to have another 2 presidential debates, considering that that orange man got the Rona?
I'm sure they will. As long as they have mute buttons, I will probably tune in for them.
Are they talking about that?
The news articles have suggested it. I don't know if the presidential commission debate, whatever they're called.
Well, Trump's loud enough. He can shout into the other microphone.
He would probably do that. Let's not give him ideas.
Well, not unless you have your soundproof booths.
Ooh, yeah, like the cone of silence.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I would. That's how you would do it, man. Just go full on game show with it. Where if Trump won't shut up, just drop the soundproof booth on him, and let him stand in there flailing and screaming all he wants. No one can hear him. That would be entertaining because his reaction to that would be even better than whatever it was he was saying.
Well, in that case, you're right too, and the audience might get a kick of him flailing around and maybe he even start doing hand signals, and that's when you would have to actually gray out the booth as well.
This sounds like a lot of trouble, though.
That's not going to happen.
No, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, you got millions of people going to watch this. I mean, this is a moneymaker.
Yeah, but they're never going to.
But there's no commercials.
Yeah, but who's hosting it?
It's a feed that's just sort of made available, and so multiple different places can run the feed. So C-SPAN has it, Fox has it, CNN.
Yeah, but then every news outlet is going to be covering it for the next at least 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, but there's no commercials in it, so there's.
Yeah, but they have commercials.
Well, yeah, they'll make money off the coverage of it later, but during the actual event, there's no commercials running. At least not that I saw.
Yeah, I don't think there were any.
Because there's no breaks.
Right. It's a shame there aren't commercials, though, because the Super Bowl usually has pretty good commercials. I imagine the Trump-Biden debate would have even better, more creative commercials, simply because so many people are going to be tuning in, and it's already, a nightmarish show to watch. Might as well add in some.
This whole thing is nightmarish. I mean, you're supposed to now in California keep a mask on when you're chewing at a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And according to Canada's top doctor, you should wear a mask during sex and skip kissing. So it's...
Yeah, go straight to the glory hole, right?
Well, they didn't quite go that far, but yeah, just the whole thing is insane. Dividing people, keeping us from connecting to one another. 855-450-3733. Again, that's 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out Intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Document leak shows trillions of dollars of illegal activity by major banks. Alibaba files more blockchain patents than any other company in 2020. MicroStrategies, a publicly traded company, bought $175 million worth of Bitcoin last week. As little as 2/3 of Bitcoins will ever circulate. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. Within the studio is Aria, Conan, and Ian. And I want to tell you about Bitcoin.com because they've launched a trading platform, and you can find it at local.bitcoin.com. It allows you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash using dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site. And all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted, which means you finally have a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Again, that's local.bitcoin.com. And we are, of course, here in New Hampshire, the location of choice for the destination of choice, I should say, rather, for the Free State Project. And that's what Jackie wants to discuss. Jackie, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, Hi, Ian, and who else is there with you?
It's Ian, Arya, and Conan.
Okay, so I know Ian. I don't know Arya. I don't think I know Conan. But it's Jackie, the first porcupine.
Hello,
So
Jackie.
maybe-
What's on your mind tonight? Why are you calling?
Well, someone told me that you guys mentioned me and said that I should call in. So I just, I guess, did what he said. And so I call in. He said that you had mentioned the, I guess, vandalism that I had experienced at my house. And then the, I don't know, that I ran for state rep previously, which I'm running again right now.
Oh. We were thinking you were a different Jackie. This is the Jackie who's the first mover for the Free State Project.
Correct. Jackie Casey.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Dave Ridley called in a couple nights ago, and he mentioned that you were running for state rep and that you'd had some sort of vandalism. I don't recall what it was. I think it was like paintballs that were shot at your door. Tell us what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, it was. And I did write an article for the Granite Grok with pictures so you can see the paintballs. But, yeah, I didn't even realize it was Ridley that had done that. It was another porcupine that mentioned this to me and said, hey, why don't you call in? And
now, is this your first time running for state rep?
No, I ran during the Ron Paul, let me see what year would that have been, 2012. I think, 2012. I ran and then, kind of took a break, and then now I'm running again.
Okay. And so it was just paintballs that were shot at your front door, or was there something else?
The paintballs went through, it was just paintballs, and they actually, I don't think they really intended it to be this way, but I think they were trying to shoot the large Trump sign I have out front, and the paintballs went through the sign and to the door, so the door got painted. So
somebody attacked a Trump sign here in the Keene area as well, I believe. I don't know if it was totally destroyed, but it looked pretty bad from what I saw, and I guess the police are investigating that here. And, of course, Arya, you've been targeted in your campaign now. How many signs have you lost? Not your campaign signs per se, but the F 'em both 20 signs.
I think at this point I'm down 7 or 8 of them.
7 or 8 of these signs, and they cost you $15 a piece?
It's actually closer to about 25 each when all of these shipping costs are included.
Oh
Because
my
I didn't
God.
design these. I didn't order them in bulk. Well, I did order them in bulk, but not enough to make
You
them.
didn't order bulk enough, apparently.
Yeah, not enough to make them like $6
$25.
per, anything like that.
Jeez.
Well, I saw them and I liked them. I was like, I want those in my yard.
And now they've taken in 8 of them.
Yeah,
or
and
7 of
I
them.
knew something like this would happen, so...
So did you encounter anything like this before, Jackie, when you ran for state rep, or are things worse now?
No, before during the Ron Paul era, of course, it was all about ignoring Ron Paul. So when you're ignoring someone, you don't, do anything. You don't, no attention goes. So, but right now, it's, just all kinds of heightened emotions and so forth. And it's funny the effect that it had, because if you drive by and if you look toward the Trump sign, because my porch light, if you drive down at night, the light shines through the holes, making it look like that it's a fully sequined, shimmering sign. So it actually draws attention to the sign and makes it kind of pretty. But,
well, I mean, at least they used paintballs. It could have been a lot worse, I presume, because paintballs are soap soluble. So it shouldn't have been too hard to get it off. How long did it? I mean, still work you otherwise wouldn't have had to do. So it sucks.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. Yeah, it wasn't hard. It wasn't nearly as discouraging as doing my door-to-doors and talking to my constituents has been.
Really? Now, why has that been discouraging?
Because everyone just wants something, whether it's the left that wants, free this and free that, or it's the right that wants free. And this is actually interesting because I know that Arya has I can't swear on this program. Is that correct?
No, yeah, please don't swear.
So
Thank you.
F-pop, right, and that kind of thing. And I'm not intimately familiar with Arya's platform or anything, but I do know that while I am running a Republican, you can, if you read my Granite Grok article about this episode, you'll see that I, in fact, am not a typical Republican. I'm an anarcho-capitalist, in fact. And
I'm surprised they're letting you
have
blog.
a Trump sign in your yard?
Yeah, it was just an experiment to see what.
Okay.
What.
Okay, I feel a lot better now that we've gotten that cleared up.
Well, I'm also surprised that that Granite Grok would let you blog for them, because I don't know. Were you here the night we read the Granite Grok story?
Oh yeah,
Aria?
yeah. They were not very kind to me.
Yeah, they were just absolutely awful towards libertarians. I mean, they what do they call themselves? They called themselves conservatarians, and they are completely in favor of the war on drugs, and they are completely, very scary in a lot of ways. I was surprised by it.
I'm not to tell you the truth, I'm kind of ignorant about the Granite Grok. Anyone that'll publish me, I just kind of go with it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they've got viewers, so I mean, I don't blame you for writing there. I mean, they're probably the most popular blog in New Hampshire.
Well, I guess I didn't even know that. But what I do know is that they've published me twice, and probably just because I'm running. I mean, I would expect. And I have taken a pretty decisive position with regard to the, a lot of the Republicans are saying don't defund the police. And my position, of course, is you mean the police that are going to, collect a $1,000 fine from me for not wearing a mask? Is those the police you're talking about that you want me to fund? Is it the same ones that are going to, enforce all of these various, long laundry lists of whatever? I mean, if there's an oath keeper, and I am actually, as a veteran, I'm also a member of the Oath Keepers. And so if it's an Oath Keeper who's there to, in fact, defend my rights every April 15th when I get robbed, and because my rights are routinely violated by powers that be, they're useless. They are never there when my rights are violated by, I'm not.
No, I mean, they're the ones violating your rights.
Yeah, you mentioned a $1,000 mask fine. Are you in Nashua? I've heard that's what they're. Nashua, okay.
Yes, and It's not only that, but I am required at my job to enforce the mask law. So I am a cop. I'm a police officer, and the other police officers aren't. I mean, they should be protecting my right to simply be a car salesman rather than to be a police officer.
Oh, my
I'm not
God.
A police officer.
I agree entirely, Jackie. Thank you so much for the call. I've been saying that for a while. The biggest problem with this mask mandate nonsense is that it has turned every gas station worker, every fast food worker, into police.
People need to stop doing that to their neighbors. Stop it.
I think they get a kick out of it. I think they like it.
No, I think a lot of them are afraid of it. They don't want to do it. Depends on who you're dealing with.
This is Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in to talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And Conan, have you seen that Netflix has been indicted in Texas over the movie Cuties?
In Texas?
Well,
that only makes sense.
And because of the movie's, quote, prurient interest in sex.
How does it work exactly when a corporation is indicted over what I presume would be a criminal charge?
Well, their producers decided to host this show, so it's on them.
This is a movie.
Unlike Facebook, which I guess they could take down anything they want and not be a
Netflix.
But wait a minute. But what I want to know is, who is going to be held responsible if this is like guilt? You know, if Netflix is guilty of lewd conduct or whatever prurient, we haven't even gotten into the story yet.
It's properly stupid though.
Oh, I'm sure, but are they charging them criminally, or can you be indicted in civil court? I thought an indictment was a criminal charge. By no means am I an attorney. But if an indictment is a criminal charge, how are they criminally charging a corporation? Who will be held responsible? If Netflix is found guilty of whatever this indictment is, who is going to go to jail? Can they just go ahead and nominate anyone they want from their board of directors to sit it off, whatever the criminal sentence is? Will the entire board of directors have to go to prison? But the board of directors probably didn't approve this movie in the first place, right? Like I've been on the board of directors at the local cable access channel. Conan, you have as well. The way that works is somebody wants to put something on the air on the public access channel. They come in, they give the DVD or the movie, whatever MP4 files to the director, and he puts it on the air.
And it is specifically listed in the bylaws, and as well as the disclaimer that you sign every time you hand over some video, that you understand that I take responsibility for anything that comes of this.
So who's taking responsibility when it comes to Netflix? Is it their program director or whatever their equivalent of that is? There's somebody who makes a decision as to, we should have this movie but not that movie.
Unless they have the same type of disclaimer. That they're not responsible? That we're not going to be held responsible for your content So you have to go over this Cuties director.
Well, let's find out who they're coming after.
But no one's going to go to jail.
Well, the woman who directed it's from Europe or Africa or something.
There
right?
might be some fine or something.
Well, before we get
of course, Texas would really like that. None of these board members are going to jail.
I just wanted to preface the article real quick to let the dump button build while we go to the phones.
I still haven't seen the movie, and I don't plan on it.
I haven't either.
We've got Vernon calling from Louisiana. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
So you all earlier were talking about commercials with the presidential debates that are coming up, and actually there was a very interesting article in the Wall Street Journal a few days ago that talked about how the TV stations were really going to benefit from the debates, because you're right, they can't sell ads during the debate, but they can certainly sell it before and after. And,
sure.
And they were fetching I think they said a 30-second ad on CNN was going for about $300,000. So I don't know if that's a lot of money or not. I think Super Bowl ads go for $1 million, but
that's a lot.
The article apparently made it sound like they were going for a premium. So.
And of course, a lot less people watch the debates than they would say the football.
Yeah, fewer people for sure. I mean, most people aren't interested in politics. It's it's going to be what it is.
Well, they said that the article said that you're going to attract more people to traditional television because of the debate. That they're able to sell more ads, and they're going to have more of a broad audience than they normally do for the station. So I guess it's like the Weather Channel. Whenever there's a hurricane, that's when they cash in too. So maybe y'all can Google the article if y'all are still going to talk about that more. But I just wanted to share that with you all.
It's probably true that the channels that are running the debate will enlarge their audience somewhat on that particular night. But I don't think that the debate really attracts a whole lot of people who are apolitical, those sorts of folks who just want to avoid politics entirely. And you can't blame those people at all. I mean, who would want to actually watch this stuff?
The only reason I attempted to watch it was because I expected it to be significantly more entertaining than it was.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, too, and it was disappointing in that way.
Vernon, thank you so much for the call. To get into this article about Netflix and Cuties...
Which was quite controversial a few weeks ago when it hit the internet. There have been a lot of people that have been opinionated about this particular movie.
I mean, a lot of people who hadn't even seen the movie.
That's another important point. Yeah.
The streaming giant Netflix.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay.
But I think I'm probably going to, since I need to be able to
You have
comment
to, so
on
we
it.
can actually talk about this intelligently.
The streaming giant was hit with an indictment in Texas over the movie's alleged promotion of the sexual exploitation of minors. Now, this is counter to what the actual movie is about.
That's what some people say.
Well, that's what the director of the film has said as well, I believe. I think the article here gets into it further, but the whole idea is that, parents, they do this to their daughters all the time. When I worked at one of the casinos as a slot technician, I saw the casino I worked at had these child beauty pageants every year, and they were every bit as disgusting as anything you've seen in the trailers for Cuties. And the parents were putting their own kids through this, and that's what Cuties, the movie, was calling attention to. That's why they called it Cuties.
Yeah, living vicariously through their children. I have heard that argument many, many times from people that we know, from people that I respect the opinions of. But what they are failing to show a huge spotlight on is the predators are going to get off on this. All they got to do is turn the mute. They just hit the mute button, and they have.
Well, how much of the movie is actually that?
Probably very little would be my guess. I've heard some of this controversy about this film. You've got one side that says it's totally about titillation of perverts. You've got the other side, the director or whatever, that's saying, oh, no, it's not. It's this, coming-of-age film and whatever else it is that they're saying about it. It's actually anti what's going on with these girls. And then after that came out, then somebody else came out with a clip from the movie that shows, I guess, one of the dance scenes, and it is pretty. I did watch that just so I would have some idea. I don't want to sit down and watch a 2-hour-long movie, but yeah, I mean, this was definitely a scene that was not filmed in a tasteful manner. Let's just say that. So I don't know how the director can say, how the director can say that when this is clearly it's a sort of a pandering film. But on the other hand,
as I understand it from the context of that clip, wasn't it that they had learned those?
So you know what clip I'm talking about?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. That they learned those dancing ways from adult women that they looked up on the internet.
I don't know.
So it seems to me like that is an one.
It was a performance, though. It wasn't like the scene. Again, there was no context around it, right? So it was
sure,
just
but I think the context from the movie is that they looked up online and they found women doing this and said, "Oh, well, we want to be successful like them," so they repeated them instead of repeating someone like I don't know, Kamala Harris or some.
But you're just talking about the plot of the film. I'm talking about the way it was filmed.
Well, you can take a 30-second clip of any movie and make it look like something completely different.
I know what you're saying there, in that there was no context around it.
Sure.
But I'm not talking about the context. I'm talking about the way the scene was filmed.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
You'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
It was.
God, this is
I'm not
hard.
sure I want to watch it.
Just so you know what I'm talking about here, but it was filmed in a way that was, let's say, not tasteful. Okay.
I assumed you meant the scene wasn't tasteful, but the actual filming itself was not tasteful.
of the at least that was my opinion.
Okay.
After having seen it. So it was whatever the scene was in the film, they were on a performance. It wasn't like some sort of practice in a closed off room. There was an audience or whatever. There were people watching this performance. So there's these different sides.
I don't want to sit through this movie,
That's
man,
the thing.
but I
don't
think
either.
I have to because
it doesn't sound interesting.
None
at
of
all.
the three of us have seen it though, and here we are.
I'm going to watch it right now. Damn it.
No, you're not. You're on the air.
Going to watch it during the break.
Representative Matt Schaefer shared the indictment Tuesday, saying that they've been indicted. Netflix has been indicted by a grand jury for promoting material which depicts lewd exhibition of pubic area of a clothed or partially clothed child. I don't know if any of that's in the movies or not, but it's not making me want to watch it.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com. The original Patriot Preparedness Company. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. Maybe you've seen Cuties and you can actually weigh in on what you believe the film is about. Now, that's one of the things with art anyway, is that anyone can say, can make an argument that's about whatever they want. But if you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV, well, you can now easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. It only takes a moment. Just visit AnyPayInc.com to set up your account by entering your crypto wallet addresses, and then enable the AnyPay plugin in WooCommerce, and that's it. Now your website takes cryptocurrency thanks to AnyPayInc.com, AnyPayInc.com. Now, we just took a few moments to actually look into the scene that Ian was talking about, the one that was, I have to agree, filmed quite distastefully. I really need to know whose idea it was to film this and why they thought it was a good idea.
Presumably the director, the very same one
Sure.
who's claiming that, this is a commentary about how this is bad.
Regardless of, there were parents shaking their head, or there were adults in the crowd shaking their heads, seemingly disapprovingly.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the film, so right. I don't know.
Now, were they disapproving because of what was taking place, or because they
How
weren't?
could they not have been?
Or because they weren't, at their full potential? They were actually making. They're missing moves and whatnot. They weren't grinding that floor, that stage hard enough.
I don't know what all the moves in a sex show are, but there sure were a lot of like stripper looking kind of moves there.
Now I have an idea.
So,
it was
regardless of the context of the rest of the movie. That scene makes it look really, really bad.
Right. So the cinematography there is definitely of a pandering sort.
Yes.
On the other hand, though, Conan, I don't know how many true perverts are going to be looking for a 2-minute clip from a 90-minute or 120-minute long movie, or however long this is, when there's a myriad of things online for them to look at.
But this is legal.
Apparently not. It's been charged.
They're trying to make it illegal.
Right. They've been charged with something in Texas over this.
Now, there could have been a way to film this that would have shown, according to the director, her distaste in this type of behavior, and the kids that grow up in this. If that was truly how she feels, if that's truly how she feels,
like there's distaste,
there would be a way to film this in such a way that her disapproval would come out in the edit, and I didn't see any of that.
No, nor did I.
That's why I was saying.
It looks like a damn MTV. Well, back in the day when MTV made videos, it looks like an MTV
It looks like something you'd see J-Lo do, or like Christina Aguilera.
No, it's just this new Cardi B girl.
Yeah, see, I don't know. She's too new. I don't know who she is. But like one of these like pop music hoes that it's at some point they start their career and they're all respectable, and then they basically turn into a stripper. And this is like those same kind of moves that you would see, maybe even worse.
They were pretty well. That's why I say the Cardi B moves, because the whole showing their crotches to the audience and grinding on the floor, and it's it's pretty. I don't even expect adult women to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, because I don't go and frequent these shows, so I don't know what's actually taking place on the stage these days.
Have you seen the Miley Cyrus video for her song? I don't remember the name of the song now.
Is that the one she's on the big wrecking ball or something?
I think so.
The only reason I remember that one is because there's so many parodies of it. You know, you even got Trump swinging
was
on
on
it.
one of them. Yeah.
I don't think this is that one. Then it came out last year.
Oh, well, that's a couple years old at least.
All her videos are pretty raunchy.
This one absolutely is. So I understand if a person takes issue with that being presented as role models for children, then they may come away thinking, okay, I should make this movie about these kids and really, really slam it into people's faces what role models are for young girls who are growing up. But that's not at all what we just witnessed.
Right. And
what we just witnessed was the creation of 11-year-old role models for 6-year-old role model people to look up to.
I can see the director doing something like this main girl who the documentary is about, watching that Miley Cyrus video and twerking. You know, you got a rough edit and you have the actual Miley Cyrus video, and you have this girl trying to emulate what she's seeing on the television. That would be a way to capture this little girl looking up to this raunchy role model.
Well, that's essentially what the plot of the film is, according to the director. A girl from Senegal moves to Paris, it looks like, joins an adolescent dance group, the Cuties, which is what they're called, in her attempts to define her identity in her new world. Saying it's a coming-of-age journey of sorts, Amy essentially emulates the sexualized behavior typically portrayed by women in Western societies as a means to fit in, and performs dance routines with her peers that imitate the older, sexually uninhibited women they are trying to emulate. So it sounds like that's largely what they did. They just didn't do a shot-by-shot comparison of, Cardi B and Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
None of which I have issues with in and of itself.
From what I've heard about the film, the main character is absolutely a despicable character. So, like, when I was looking at, like, do I actually want to watch this given all the controversy? Like, there's all the controversy, and I feel like we should be able to talk about it, but on the other hand, there's nothing about this movie that's interesting to me.
No,
right?
This isn't Tiger King we're talking about, where there's suddenly a gay sex tiger cult, and you go, I have to watch this.
Yeah, or, like, an interesting action or drama or whatever. It's, like, not interesting at all. Supposedly, she's, like, stealing, and she's just this little punk. And, like, not a redeeming kind of a character in any way. I don't know.
Does she become a better person after joining the dance group?
I don't know.
None of us have seen it.
Is anyone going to call in to admit to actually having seen this movie? And by the way, the movie poster was what really started this whole controversy.
I thought it was a trailer.
That kicked it off.
Well, it was everybody saw the poster first, which was like an image from that scene.
It was a thumbnail on Netflix.
Yeah, and so that's what kind of set everybody off at first. But the actual original poster for the movie from Europe or from France or wherever this was originally released is much more tasteful. It's like, like just some little girls walking down the street doing girl things or whatever. They're just walking down the street, and the name is Mignones. Now, I don't know if that's how you translate cuties in French, but they don't call it cuties in French.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised at all to find Netflix trying to exploit the controversy around this for ratings. I mean, it
worked. I mean, it got
clearly
a lot of people talking about this movie that otherwise would be pretty, it's just like an import, right? Like, people don't talk about import movies.
Yeah, this
generally.
never would have crossed my radar,
right,
if it hadn't had so much controversy around it.
I'm guessing it's subtitled. I mean, I presume they're speaking French in this film. Right?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't either.
Call in and tell us if you've actually seen this and you want to set us straight. 3 dudes talking about a movie they haven't
seen. Yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about the controversy and what we've heard about it, and now that there's some sort of criminal charge or whatever this is. What is happening?
Yeah, the indictment against Netflix comes after the outrage over the film's release in September. Hundreds of critics called out the film's sexualization of young girls in various scenes throughout the movie, particularly ones in which they copy an older dance group's sexual moves and another in which one 11-year-old member of the dance troupe takes photos of her genitals, although no nudity is actually showcased. Along with a petition to #cancel Netflix, dozens of congressmen, particularly Republican members of the House and Senate, have criticized the platform, including some members who have even requested for the Department of Justice to prosecute Netflix for its release of the film. 33 members of the House signed Representative Jim Banks' letter recommending the department bring charges against Netflix Incorporated for the distribution of the film Cuties, which contains child pornography. Are they going to indict the FBI? Because the FBI distributes child pornography in a way that makes Cuties look absolutely benign.
Well, they're obviously not saying this is child pornography because there's no sex.
They said it contains child pornography.
That's what they said, but that's them asking the Department of Justice to bring charges. That's not the same thing as the Department of Justice actually bringing charges.
Well, yeah,
and we're talking about the Texas government, right? So they're talking. It's referring to.
I don't know. It says members of the House and Senate. It doesn't specify whether, but
they're talking about the Department of Justice. Unless there's a Department of Justice in Texas, then they're talking about the U.S. Department of Justice.
Okay.
Some other Texas bureaucracy, I presume whatever the Attorney General's office is in Texas, is the one that is actually bringing the charges.
Tyler County.
It's Tyler County, Texas?
They've handed down an indictment against Netflix for promotion of lewd visual material depicting children.
Yeah, so that's different than actual child pornography, right? That's
lewd
material that's allegedly lewd.
Well, according to these senators, child pornography is any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct involving a minor, and that conduct does not need to specifically depict sexual activity to qualify. The letter continued, Cuties clearly meets the United States legal definition of child pornography.
Well, that's an interesting interpretation.
Yes, and it would be a good argument if words didn't mean things, but I think you have to actually have some sort of sexual activity for something to qualify as being sexually explicit.
I think these congressmen are saying they believe that scene was sexual enough.
It was definitely sexual in nature.
To their opinion.
It was definitely sexual.
Which may say more about them than it does about any of us.
What do you think? 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. Just visit AnyPayInc.com and set up your account by entering your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes crypto like Bitcoin thanks to AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Talks called off. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump puts the brakes on coronavirus relief talks.
The president is rejecting the latest proposal from Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats of $2.4 trillion in coronavirus relief. The president says he is instructing his team to suspend negotiations until after the election. We don't know if that is just a negotiating tactic or if he is really serious about it. But at this point, at least, the president does seem to be telling his team that we're not talking until November 4th at the very earliest.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi issued a statement reading in part, today once again, President Trump showed his true colors, putting himself first at the expense of the country with the full complicity of the GOP members of Congress. Former Vice President Joe Biden in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania today, delivering a message of unity.
Too many Americans seek not to overcome our divisions, but to deepen them. We must seek not to build walls, but bridges. We must seek not to have our fists clenched, but our arms open.
And Biden says there shouldn't be a choice between law and order and racial justice. Rolling Stone ranks him as number 8 in its list of top guitarists of all time. Eddie Van Halen has died after a long battle with cancer. His son Wolfgang tweeting earlier today, "He was the best father I could ever ask for. Every moment I've shared with him on and off stage was a gift." Eddie Van Halen was 65. Another major film release postponed due to COVID-19. Universal Pictures' Jurassic World Dominion has been delayed by 1 year to June 2022. Yesterday, Warner Brothers announced The Batman will also be released in 2022, and the remake of the sci-fi film Dune will come out in October 2021. America is listening to Fox News.
For over 20 years, millions of customers have trusted Blinds.com to update their homes. Because Blinds.com makes it easy to get custom blinds that'll give your windows a high-end look without the high-end price. Whether you like to DIY, need design help, or prefer measure and install services, they do it all with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. If you're unsure, know that Blinds.com has over 30,000 5-star customer reviews, and they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows, whether you do it yourself or have them measure and install everything for you.
Right now, shop Blinds.com's annual Friends and Family sale right from home with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. You'll save up to 40% on everything through October 13th. Blinds, shades, interior shutters, and more. Plus, pay over 24 months at 0% APR on qualifying purchases with PayPal Credit Easy Payments. Ends January 31st, 2021. As of September 1st, 2020, new PayPal credit accounts have a variable purchase APR of 23.99% that will vary with the market based on the prime rate. Minimum interest charge is $2, subject to credit approval. Visit Blinds.com/PayPal. Other rules and restrictions may apply.
The governor of New Jersey is asking people who attended the president's fundraiser in his state last week to take action to stop the spread of the virus.
Governor Phil Murphy is asking all those who attended President Trump's fundraiser at his Bedminster Golf Club last Thursday to quarantine for 14 days, especially if they were in close contact with the president or his staff. He says 19 Bedminster staff members and more than 200 attendees were put at risk.
This is also a matter of leadership by example, and it is clear that the president and his staff acted recklessly in coming to New Jersey in the first place, knowing that they had been exposed to someone with a confirmed positive test.
Guests who were there say the event included a photo op with the president and an indoor roundtable that lasted 45 minutes or more. In New York, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A Florida man arrested for threatening with an assault rifle a census worker who had come to his home to conduct the head count. 32-year-old Michael Cooper was taken to Flagler County Jail, police say, after taking
If you're looking for work, it's a process of elimination, and you're trying not to be eliminated. So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Well, it's the end of an era and the beginning of a new one.
Today, Pennington's black part of town moved across the river to North Pennington. The Thompson family sold their home on the east side and moved to the old Kirkland Place at 17 Mansfield Place, establishing the all-new black neighborhood. Northside residents are looking forward to the infusion of fun and funk that the new black part of town is sure to bring to their area. Mayor Mitzi Kranowitz presided over the dedication of the new black neighborhood, unveiling a sign designating it a landmark Landmark District.
It's lovely, everyone. Pennington's diversity is its strength, whether it's Little Harlem or the so-called Gayborhood where Paul and his partner Bryant have that cottage.
Sheriff Stevens today announced that the heavy round-the-clock patrols that helped make the old Thompson house one of the safest neighborhoods in town will move with them.
This has nothing to do with the black part of town moving here. We just want to make sure that everyone here has a comfortable place to live.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio is Aria.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And Conan, you and I started getting into a discussion during the break there, but we decided to save it. Plus, I was going outside to smoke anyway, so I couldn't really get into an argument with you about it. Now, I made the point that, and I think Ian started to make the same point, that nothing about what these kids are doing is necessarily sexual. So if someone watches this and they feel sexual arousal, that says more about the viewer than it does the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, but why are they dancing this way? Is it just because their role models dance that way? And if so,
that's the
why,
presumable explanation.
Why do their role models dance that way?
To titillate.
Correct. And this is...
But they may not understand that, right? Like maybe they do understand it. I don't know. We haven't watched this movie. We don't know what these girls actually understand about this. But just on its own, just because these girls are going through the motions doesn't mean that to them it's sexual. To them it may just be, oh, twerking's a thing. That's how you dance. I think twerking's ridiculous when adults do it, and it's even more ridiculous when it's a bunch of little girls.
Well, that's not...
But if someone takes an action... You're wrong. If someone takes an action, your reaction to that is your responsibility.
Well,
someone doing a thing...
First, to Ian's point. Maybe these girls don't know what they're doing. I would disagree. I would think that they're coming into the age where they kind of know what they're up to. And yes, but most of it is probably they are emulating their role models who do know what they're about and do know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason for it.
Sex sells. That's why.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sorry. Aria, what was your next point?
Well, the point is that you don't know why the role models are doing it. You assume they're doing it because sex sells, but perhaps the point that Miley Cyrus and Cardi B are making is that they shouldn't. They should be able to display their bodies without men having an issue with it.
But why else
I have
do
no
it?
issue with it. I mean, display your body however you want.
Naturalists exist, Conan. And as I said,
walking around naked in your backyard doing your gardening is completely different than grinding on a stage.
Right. Why?
Because
one arouses you and one doesn't.
Because one is an actual sexual activity.
It's not sexual. What is sexual about grinding?
You're grinding your bits on the stage or on a wrecking ball is completely different than going out and watering your lilies in the nude. It's completely different.
Because one arouses you and one doesn't. Because your reaction to them is different. Your reaction is different. And therefore, you're judging them as different.
It's a sexual act.
But wait a minute. Hold on. You're not wrong. It does have to do with the reaction of the viewer. No doubt about it.
Sure.
On the other hand, the performer can have intentions. And that's what I'm saying is the difference between what these girls are doing and what Cardi B or these other, pop music hoes are doing. These girls, the older girls, are wanting to sexually titillate. Okay, they know that sex sells.
Well, not necessarily. The whole point of the Miley Cyrus video that I didn't look up and should have was that they should be able to do these things without people over sexualizing it.
They can do whatever they want, but there's going to be everyone can have an opinion about what is actually taking place.
It's not over-sexualization.
And I think overwhelmingly, people are going to be like they are over-sexualizing, and that is an over-sexualized act, and they're...
I mean, what you're basically saying here is that women who dress slutty deserve to be raped.
No,
that is not what he
that's
said.
not what I said.
Because they know they know they're sexually arousing men. They know the risk was there.
No,
that is not what I said. But yes, they do know what they're doing.
So they knew.
They know.
Yes,
knew they're doing what they want.
Provocatively could have this result of people becoming aroused.
That's the whole point of dressing that way. That is the point of dressing that way. Otherwise, you would go everywhere in your pajamas.
But you're
like
not
these
taking
Walmart
any
people.
responsibility for your arousal.
I didn't say that I was aroused.
He didn't say
there
that.
There are a lot of these bimbos who actually, I'll just come around and say, I might get a little limp because I find them disgusting. But yes, there are many, many out there who do find and who are aroused by that type of behavior. And there's a reason why the Cardi B and the Miley Cyruses of the world do what they do. It's not just to sell and make money, but because I think that they are after sex themselves.
But you realize that is blaming people for the reactions others take in regard to their own actions.
Well, that's not...
someone's reaction to something I say or do isn't my responsibility.
Wait a minute. It's not blaming so much, and I'm not saying that it is your responsibility. I'm just saying that if you want to go out and put on a strip show, or the equivalent of what is a strip show, using moves that, I've seen.
Sure.
I've never been to a strip club, but I've seen movies where there's strippers in it, right? Like,
right.
So I've seen a few of the things that they do, and the J-Los, these pop music, Britney Spearses, these people, they do those same things.
Sure.
And so the purpose of that is to titillate the audience. Now, what the reactions are is a completely different question. The question is, what was the intention of the performer? With the older women, their intention is to be as sexual as they can, to get as many viewers as they can, to get as many fans as they can, and that's totally fine. With these little girls in this movie, their intentions are probably different. Their intentions are not to be likely sexual. Their intentions are just to emulate what they're seeing.
Are we talking about the characters or the actresses?
I'm talking about the characters, or
okay.
I don't know about the actresses and what they know, but purportedly.
I just wanted to know which one we were.
But these little kids aren't actresses; they're real kids.
No, they're actresses.
They're literally actresses. This is not a documentary; it's a movie.
All right. Well,
this is a fictional film.
That's news to me.
It's a fictional. Okay, it's a fictional film.
Maybe if I had seen it, I would know.
I mean, it may be based on some level of reality, right? In that there are probably girls that are putting on performances like this somewhere.
Well, I mean, we know there are. These cheerleading competitions, these dance competitions, they exist.
Well, I don't know if they're doing moves like this in cheerleading competitions. I highly doubt that.
They are.
At like school-sponsored cheerleading competitions?
Oh, no, these happen in more private ones.
Okay, I don't know anything about private cheerleading squads.
Like cheerleading competitions and stuff like that aren't organized by schools, but are organized by these independent dance groups that are not related to any actual school.
Okay, I'll take your word for it on that, but it would be hard for me to believe that that's actually happening and there's not huge controversy surrounding that.
Well, that's the issue, is that it is happening and there isn't controversy, and that's why the director said she made this film.
Ah.
That's part of the issue, is that parents are putting their kids into these exact situations and not realizing that they're sexualizing their children.
How could the parents not realize it? That's the other thing, right?
Or maybe
it's one thing to believe that these little girls don't understand it, right?
Sure.
Like that's plausible. Like, oh, they see Cardi B doing a thing and they want to be like Cardi B because she's popular and they want to be a star, so they do the thing. But if their parents are like, hey, you should do that thing, that suggests that the parents are either completely ignorant to the sexual aspects of what Cardi B would be doing, or they're not, and they actually want their kids to do that?
No, the parents, I'll say again, are living vicariously through their children. The mother wants to be like Cardi B, and she can't because she's a big walrus. But her daughter's still pretty, and she can do all the moves, and she can go to these pageants and whatnot.
That's crazy.
I tend to think that interpretation is correct.
It's just like the baseball dad. You know, it's the same thing. I failed
with the baseball dad. At least then he's like, wanting his son to just win a baseball game. Here you're talking about wanting.
Well, sometimes it's that innocuous.
And he's out there screaming at the other kids and the other dads. You've seen this dad?
Yeah, sure.
He's pretty wild. And some of them are pretty nice about it, but most of them they either failed as kids themselves, baseball players themselves, or they didn't make it to the team that they wanted to get on. And I've got a second chance. I can live through my kid.
I'm all in favor of young people deciding to be adults whenever they want to, right? Like I've said that before. But if parents are pushing them into it, I think that's a problem. Pushing them into incredibly adult behaviors without them even understanding what's going on, and their parents are getting some sort of jollies off of it. That's pretty disturbing.
It is.
That would be my interpretation of what's happening.
And that's the Munchausen syndrome, or through proxy, where the parents they actually relish when their children suffer, or the trials that their children go through. They actually, for attention. It's all about attention. I mean, do you think that none of these?
I don't have a child that I vicariously live through. I live my own life.
Do you think that none of these parents are also putting these clips of their kids twerking, putting them on their Facebook, on their social media? Say, look at my kid, look at my daughter. This is my kid. This is my daughter. Look what she could do.
If you're proud of your kids twerking, something's wrong.
There's a lot of. Hey, you know what? You've run into these mothers before. You've
No, I have not.
Yes, you have. They've been.
I don't know who they are.
They've been in Walmart with their pajama bottoms, with sexy on the butts or whatever. Pink. Yeah.
This is Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Document leak shows trillions of dollars of illegal activity by major banks. Alibaba files more blockchain patents than any other company in 2020. MicroStrategies, a publicly traded company, bought $175 million worth of Bitcoin last week. As little as 2/3 of Bitcoins will ever circulate. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. DIVI project.org.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. You know, what you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always lays a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
No, I just want to reiterate on what you said, and I feel you what you said about the junkie. I mean, I'm with you 100% because I had an ex-girlfriend that was like out there, and it took me a while to even find out that she was a cocaine addict. And I'm talking about I come home to all the electronics gone, you know, and nobody broke in the house. A key was used. What happened was I was trying to be a gentleman, a good boyfriend. You know, I got out of work. She said my car needed cleaning, it was dirty, and I ended up going in her trunk, cleaning out her trunk because that's where I kept the tie shine at. It's the exact same receipt from the pawn shop that the stuff that was missing, item for item.
Busted. Wow.
They had been to the pawn shop.
What happened when you confronted her?
She packed her stuff and said she's leaving because I don't trust her. So she gonna say she need to leave.
Right, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my
You're
fault.
the bad guy.
I thought I found the receipts in the trunk, right?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio is Arya, Ian, and Conan. And you've heard us talk about Divi here on Free Talk Live. And maybe you wanted to set up one of their easy-to-deploy masternodes or stake Divi so that you can start earning Divi right now. Ian says that setting up a Divi masternode was incredibly easy and staking was even easier. We're not investment advisors here on Free Talk Live, but we think you'll be impressed with your earning potential with Divi as compared to traditional investment vehicles. Go to diviproject.org and get started. You can buy Divi at several exchanges or directly from the Divi team. Need help? Well, there's a link to their Telegram channel right on the front page at diviproject.org.
That was one of my questions, was how do you get, all the Divi? How do you get Divi, right? Because there's a few exchanges, but some people don't want to sign up for an exchange, and some people don't trust these exchanges, so... Turns out you can just get it straight from the Divi guys, which is nice because then it's what they call over-the-counter, and it doesn't affect the exchange price because if you're going to buy...
It's just moving Divi from one wallet to another. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
diviproject.org. And I looked up some clips there in the break, and I was incorrect. The dance competitions, cheerleading competitions that I was talking about, they are not... they are in the same league as what you see in Cuties, but Cuties is an overly extreme version of that.
Well, I mean, to say it's in the same league suggests that cheerleading competitions are akin or in the same league to sexual sort of dancing, whether or not the person who's dancing realizes how sexual it is.
Well, that's what cheerleading is dancing to get attention.
It's definitely dancing for attention, and arguably the attention is mostly coming from men.
I mean, there's a reason they're wearing those outfits.
There is absolutely a reason for it. I totally
now
agree with you.
Now you agree with me?
No, I agreed with Ian earlier.
Wait, what was that whole argument? Was a whole 10 minutes of you yelling at me?
I agreed with Ian earlier. No, I said, but the men in the audience who are aroused by it and who are getting erections or fantasizing about them, that's their reaction. That's their responsibility. But there's no doubt whatsoever.
I don't disagree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Yes, you are responsible for everything.
Yes, but the performers absolutely do make these deliberate choices.
If you can't take the heat, get out of the damn kitchen.
Well, see, that's where it sounds like you're blaming them again.
No, not the women's. If you can't handle the woman walking around suggestively, you need to look the other way.
Okay.
I agree with that.
But
we're all on the same page.
But the girl is still a slut.
Why?
Because she's dressing like that. Because
hold on. Wait. Are you talking about just a cheerleader?
No. The woman who's dressed suggestively to get a man's attention.
Dressed suggestively?
The cheerleaders and the cuties, yes, they are. I'm talking about the.
So cheerleaders.
I'm talking about the woman who's actually walking down the street, looking for attention.
Like cheerleaders do.
Except I'm saying I mean specifically take some dude home tonight. Attention. She's dressed as a certain way. She goes to the club.
You don't think
she's trying to get picked up. She's trying to get free drinks.
You don't think cheerleaders are taking dudes home occasionally?
I'm talking about right now in the moment. They're going out to the club. The cheerleader is not. Yes. Long game, yes. They have a plan. I'm talking about the girl at the club. She's trying to get free drinks. She's trying to go home. She's trying to score. She dresses a certain way. If she does it successfully, she's going to get attention.
Sure.
So is it the dude's fault for being attracted to her?
I agree with Ian's point. Fault is not necessarily the right word I would use, but
it's a human reaction. It's human.
Well, not necessarily. A gay guy would disagree.
Okay, well, the gay dude who dresses suggestively. I don't know what his nipples showing or something.
Well, the straight dude would, in which case the straight dude would disagree. Because he wouldn't be aroused.
So
So the reaction of the person, I mean, yes, they are responsible for their reaction to external stimuli. It is, after all, external.
And the person is responsible for the way they dress, and they should expect to get a certain reaction. I think that's what you're saying, right? Like if you dress in a certain way and you get a specific set of reactions, you shouldn't be upset about it.
Yeah,
I agree with that entirely.
If you're the guy that's all tatted up and you got the horns and you got your lip, your tongue slit or whatever. And some old dude comes and is looking at you and calls you a freak, don't be upset because you kind of look like a freak.
And you know what? Let your freak flag fly.
Exactly.
I mean, it's totally fine.
You're doing it for a reason. You probably want to look like a freak, right?
The problem, part of the problem is there's this mentality, and I think you addressed it earlier briefly, where somebody thinks, oh, well, I should be able to let my booty cheeks hang
freak
out,
flag fly,
or I should be able to show almost my labia while I'm walking around, and have no one look. and have no one react.
Yeah, was it this girl who was walking down New York for like a whole hour or so, and she taped the whole thing?
Where she was painted?
Well, they do that too. No, some girl, she had real tight clothes on, and then she'd walk through the streets for a whole hour, and then she reported on all the dudes who were whistling and catcalling, and she's like, "Look at this! I can't even walk down the street without getting catcalled." She, look at you! You got your damn cheeks! They're all out.
Yeah,
you got big old boobs. I mean, what do you expect?
I think that's a valid point, though.
Well, it's all valid. Like, it's a nice thing to say, like, oh, I should be able to walk around and not have a bunch of attention that's negative.
Yes, but in the world we have, she would get that attention.
But it's entirely plausible that you're going to get that sort of attention. That's not to say you shouldn't walk around the way that you want to, but you just have to understand that it comes with the territory. That's all.
Now, if someone was to, everyone brings up the rape meme. You know, if you dress a certain way and you complain about getting raped later on that evening because you dressed like a slut, you know, that's not acceptable. But I mean, someone catcalling you, someone whistling at you, someone said, "Hey, girl, you look fine."
You're saying it's not acceptable if the person got raped, not that they were complaining.
Correct.
Okay.
Then you actually have a crime. But
I was going to give him the benefit of that.
But my free speech, calling some girl and say, "Hey, you look hot, girl." How are you going to be upset by that? And by the way, let's also point out that if I say those things, I never get called out.
Yeah,
it's always the creeper.
Yeah, you shouldn't be getting up. You shouldn't be showing yourself off and then getting upset that you received attention
from the creeper.
Right. Just because you received attention from some people you didn't want to receive attention to, you can't control that. What you can control is how you show yourself off. If you don't want to show yourself off, wear some frumpy thing, you know, throw a sweatshirt and a pair of sweatpants on and put a mask on. You know, you can be unremarkable.
Yeah,
in that particular case.
But there are then men who are into that. There are men who are into women who are dressed in T-shirts and sweatpants.
Sure, but there aren't as many of them, and those men aren't the type of some woman's walking around in some frumpy sweatpants and a sweatshirt. I highly doubt she's going to get catcalled. Hey, looking good, sugar.
Pink.
Put another T-shirt on.
One never knows.
I don't think that's too likely.
It's not going to happen.
Ian, Conan, you made a point a second ago. I wish I could remember what it was because I wanted to respond to it, but then we got caught up into catcalling girls in sweatpants. Do you remember what your point a moment ago was?
I don't have a clue.
I don't either. But it is likely that the filming of this movie created even more explicit and abusive scenes, and that pedophiles will manipulate and imitate this film in abusive ways, said Senator Ted Cruz of Texas.
How does he know about what pedophiles are going to do?
Well, he is the Zodiac Killer. One might wonder what else he is.
He's the son of the Munsters dad, right?
Oh, but that reminds me. Vincent was playing something on his DLive show last night. There's like one of those channels where they set up guys with fake people, like fake teens in a chat room, and then they go meet them in real life.
Okay.
One of them was a police chief from like Gardner, Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah, like an hour down south of here. They busted him.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Ted Cruz is probably just like that guy.
Probably. He seems to have a lot to say about this movie. 855-450-3733. Maybe you have something to say about it. It's Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America. as well as sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you in the studio is Aria, Ian, and Conan. And we've been talking about largely being inappropriate with children, I think, has been the subject of most of tonight's show. And no one knows more about that than Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden.
Good segue.
Thank you. Who, according to the New York Post, he had to be pulled away from reporters on the campaign trail to maintain social distancing. But that didn't prevent one of his signature eyebrow-raising comments at an event later in the afternoon. What exactly did Joe Biden say? We're going to get into that shortly, but first, let's go to the phones.
He probably doesn't remember.
I have no doubt whatsoever that he doesn't remember. He remembers the kid stroking his leg hair, presumably, because he talked about it. He remembers learning about roaches.
He has long-term memory. He does not have, his short-term memory is gone. That's why he's always bringing up the past and talking about what he did as a lifeguard.
And talking about John. Have you seen that clip?
Is it John or Joey?
John. He was in some clip talking about, police accountability, and suddenly he's just talking about this dude named John. It's completely bizarre. But we got Kirby calling from Indiana. Kirby, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up, guys? I was going to trip on Mask World tonight, and all these people riding down the street with their windows up, air on, mask as well.
I saw another woman on a bicycle today with a mask.
Yeah, it's crazy, ain't it?
Yep.
But y'all's conversation tonight has got me going. Number one, Joe Biden loves that movie.
I bet he does.
Executive producer.
He's got several copies. But you're right. It is horrible to see little children do this. That is an adult behavior. There's no way anybody who is not of legal age to do the woo should be out there doing that. These 10, 8, 9, 11-year-old girls, they know exactly what it is because they watch TV. They watch their mothers. Notice I said they watch their mothers. And they see what's going on. They know what it is. And for anybody to tell you that, oh, they're just emulating somebody, no, they're practicing.
I don't know if I agree. I don't know whether or not the 10-year-olds are aware of the long-term implications of their movements or not.
Well, it's all about levels. It builds and it builds and it builds, and I think that they're just as preliminary. This is how they start. Yes, I believe on some level they do understand what they're doing. I don't think they see the full. I don't think they see the full consequences of what could take place. Mm-hmm. But I think that they are on a path.
When you say it's about their mothers, are you saying that they are observing their mothers like doll themselves up for a date or something? Like how are they, are their mothers like doing sex moves in front of them? What do you mean by that?
They watch their mothers and their mothers' 18 different boyfriends.
Mm-hmm.
They watch their mothers get up, as you say, get dialed up to go out at 8 o'clock at night and come back home at 4 o'clock in the morning. They hear their mother's raunchy, nasty, filthy conversation.
And the music they listen to.
I doubt there's a whole lot of that going on, Kirby. I've got to be honest. I suspect that mothers are doing this behind closed doors, and that most 10-year-olds are not awake at 4 o'clock when their mom comes in drunk.
Aria, I was walking home from work a couple months ago, 2 blocks from home. I'm walking up College Avenue, and there's a little girl creeping out of the house. Mind you, it's 3 a.m. She walked out of the house, made sure she closed that door very quietly, and tiptoed up the street. I know what she was doing because I was 15 once. Mm. And I was sitting up there waiting for her when I was 15. They know.
Well, 15
is not 11.
That's why they're
15 is way
15
different.
Might as well be 11. It's not much difference.
It's pretty different. At 15, she probably has all the parts necessary to reproduce. You know.
At 11, she has.
Yeah, actually, at 11, you do as well. A lot, especially in the developing countries.
It doesn't mean they should be used or exposed. But
that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. It's not my place to judge them or tell them what they can and can't do.
When she turns 18, she can do what she wants.
Why 18?
Why not what she wants now?
Why not 17 and 364 days old?
She can do what she wants right now, Kirby.
Because somebody will go to jail for 17 years, 364
Well, that can
days.
happen, and that's tragic when that happens. I actually had a girl that was arguing with me last night. I was watching Vincent, as I mentioned, his show on DLive, and a girl in there was saying she thought that the age of consent should be raised because people their brain doesn't stop developing until age 25. So she was
and kids are dumber these days.
Well, and she was suggesting that young people should be treated as children until they're 25, which I thought is just absolutely insulting and will result in more
age is a
people going to
completely
prison.
useless metric for this.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, first of all, we got a pornographic actress in the White House. Number one. Number 2,
is there porn of her? Shoot me a link to that.
There's a nude. There's a nude layout.
That's pornography.
What was she in? Was it Playboy? Who did she pose for?
Some Eastern European.
And
I don't mind that because I consider her to be a glorified prostitute anyway.
That's what she is. That's what
I'm with you.
B is.
I don't have an issue with it though.
But
a high dollar prostitute.
All this.
Well, she didn't magically fall in love with Donald Trump. I don't believe that for a minute.
No, money. She's a red sparrow. Do you know what those are?
Tell us. I've never heard it.
The KGB put together a thing called the Sparrow School. They took attractive women.
She's a spy?
Yeah.
Nice. I like this
But
conspiracy.
I want to hear more about this. What did they do? The KGB did what?
The KGB had a thing called the Sparrow School. They would take attractive young women, 10, 11, 12 years old, train them in how to elicit information from people, how to do assassinations, and turn them loose on the world. This is how the Russians have gone from where they were in 1980 to where they are now.
I have never heard this.
That's better than my theory. I always thought she was a Stepford wife. She's a robot. But I like the KGB spy. I like that one.
I like it. I just think it's unlikely.
I don't. She's one of Putin's sparrows, I'm telling you.
The possibility of her being...
Can you fly some more of these girls over here?
I know, right?
Get some more Russian sparrows around here in New Hampshire.
Kirby, thank you so much for the call. I don't disagree, man. I mean, if somebody wants to order themselves a mail order bride, go for it. You know, do what you got to do to be happy, man.
As long as I get what is pictured, because I know that's not how it usually turns out, right? You get some.
You know, did you know Mark was trying to get us to? This was before I think you were on the show, Arya, but he was pitching me on a sponsorship from one of these Russian. I don't think they call them mail orders, but it's like. You go over and you fly to Russia, and then they bring you into a club, and all these women that want to have an American husband, supposedly, so they can get out of Russia. Then you get a chance to meet these, sort of like a meat market almost, and it's really scummy and scammy.
It sounds like it. And Mark wanted a sponsorship from these people,
and I was like, no, that's not happening.
That is the exact opposite of how I would expect that dynamic to play out. I would expect you to be like, hey, these mail order bride people, they want to pay us. And Mark would be like, oh, God, no. We already have a Satanist tranny. Why would we want a mail order bride?
Understand, Mark. No, he'd have taken some real scummy stuff if I hadn't stood in the way.
Oh, in that case, I'm glad you stood in the way.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden was asked a question by a reporter when his better half came up behind him and pulled him back a couple of steps. He then took a few minutes to reclaim his thoughts, but later in the day...
A few minutes?
Well, a few moments.
Oh, okay.
That may have been what I meant to say. But later in the day, he got really creepy as he watched kids perform I don't know exactly what it was. He was watching kids dance, oddly enough.
Uh-oh.
And we're going to get into that. 855-450-3733.
Hey, everybody. Confused about staying healthy in a crazy COVID culture? Me too. But listen, after all the research, all the conflicting studies, after all the squabbling, there's one thing almost everyone agrees on. It's that immune system health can literally be the difference between life and death. You probably already believe that. I certainly do. So here's the thing. I wanted to get past the craziness and find out which plant-based substances actually have studies that demonstrate some efficacy in immune support. Now, you'll have to sign a waiver, but you can check out what I've discovered at StrongerDefense.com. No cures or treatments there. Instead, little-known but shocking immune system research and a breakthrough immune support product based on that research called Immune 10X. And the best part? You can go to the Stronger Defense website right now and claim your own supply of Immune 10X without paying anything today. Crazy, right? Learn more about this unusual limited-time offer at StrongerDefense.com. That's StrongerDefense.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have two convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Arya.
And Ian.
And Conan.
And Joe Biden had this to say. The good news is, for me, I'm here after watching what the New York Post describes as a group of school-age children, but we actually just dug around and tried to find a screenshot so we could estimate what these girls' ages were. And one media outlet characterized them as young girls. They were probably 16 or 17 years old.
Maybe 15. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
There is a screenshot here of Biden addressing these young women. They're all wearing what I would say would be non-titillating. We were just having a long discussion about this, right?
Yes.
Like they're wearing sort of like cultural, full-on dresses. And they were obviously, doing some sort of a Haitian dance performance, and they all have masks on, so it's hard to really get a feel for it. But they're, I would say, teenagers.
The good news is, for me, I'm here. The bad news for you is I'm coming back, he said.
And I'll be naked.
That sounds like what could he possibly have meant? I've got bad news for you. I'm coming back.
And where was this again? I'm sorry.
This was at the Little Haiti Cultural Center in Miami, Florida. He said, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And I want to see these beautiful...
Back again.
And I want to see these beautiful young ladies. I want to see them dancing when they're 4 years older, too.
I'm going to come back, and I'm going to adopt every one of you.
Oh, I think he was saying he's going to run for president again. 4 years from now, he's going to come back. Right? I think he was saying he's going to be a president, right, for the next 4 years, and then he's going to come back there in 4 years, and then they're going to be 4 years older, and he's going to be running for president again. That's what I'm
I tend to think that's probably what he was trying to say, but man, he picked a terrible way to say it.
Correct. It's possible, Ian.
Yeah.
But the majority didn't get that far. They didn't think that. They didn't think it through.
He didn't think it through either.
They heard how creepy it sounded.
Yeah. He's just kind of stream of consciousness, which I don't know. Is it dementia that he's suffering? What do you call this?
Senility?
Well, he had 2 brain surgeries.
Really?
They took the top of his head off, and I think it had to do with something with a blood clot or whatnot.
Oh my!
And this is probably part of that long-term process where you had your brain tattled with.
Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Dave calling from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, folks. There is a case of some interest in New Hampshire, a federal case where a lawyer is bringing suit against 4 different hotel chains, essentially claiming that they didn't look closely enough at what was going on in their rooms. There was allegedly sex trafficking going on. And
some of these motels were in Keene, weren't they?
Well, one of them that's named is Best Western, and there is a Best Western in Keene, but I don't know if that's the location where this allegedly happened. You know, this is not exactly a war crime on the federal government's part. You know, they're just accepting a lawsuit, they're letting it go forward partially. But you know, it's you know, whatever happened is happening under an environment of prostitution prohibition.
Yeah,
it's not happening in an environment of prostitution freedom, right? So the government has caused the problem, and now they're going to solve it, supposedly.
Well, this is the first I've heard of the story, but I did pull up the piece from NHPR, New Hampshire Public Radio, about this civil lawsuit filed Monday. Alleges a 26-year-old woman with developmental disabilities was repeatedly trafficked for commercial sex at hotels around the state, including the Best Western in Keene. The woman, who's identified by the initials KB, is seeking damages, claiming the facilities, quote, have chosen to ignore the open and obvious presence of sex trafficking on their properties, enjoying the profit while willfully turning a blind eye to criminal misconduct. Well, how are they supposed to know anything about what's going on in their hotel rooms, and why should they? I mean, their guests have a right to privacy.
Yeah,
and
it's really not their business.
I don't know what exactly they are thinking they're going to be able to get these hotels to do. Paul Pennock, attorney with Weitz and Luxembourg.
Let me interrupt real quick to say that Dave has a point. The way we could actually prevent this from happening is to have the Best Western have their own prostitutes they can sell you, who voluntarily work there.
Right. Yeah,
and who know they're safe because this is their place of employment. If they, you know, shout for help, some security guard will bust in with a gun and help them.
So how do you think Ted Cruz is going to handle that that new
I don't know, but it's a better model than what we have, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Civil lawsuit is the latest in a series of cases nationwide that seek monetary awards from hotels. Under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, a federal law passed in 2000, victims of sex trafficking can seek damages against third parties, including facilities where they were assaulted. The attorney says, quote, these dirtbags would show up and they would pay the pimp the trafficker, and she would be forced to have sex with 6 to 8 men a night, often being brutalized. Well, that sounds horrifying if that's actually what was going on, but
how would an employee there have known that?
Yeah. I mean, how is that going to be? If a few guys are going into a room with a girl, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, if a few guys are going into a room with a girl, I'm going to assume orgy. It's not my business. That's just an assumption.
That's just
But
none
I'm
of
not
my
going to
business.
assume, she's being held against her will. I'm not going to assume that. And I know, because I live in the real world, that if I was to somehow be able to pull this girl aside and ask her if she needed help, she wouldn't say yes anyway, because that pimp is utilizing black market means to have something holding her hostage.
Yeah.
A couple more.
Go ahead.
I was a couple more concerns about this. Obviously, as you read there, the plaintiff is not named, and the idea that someone could sue someone secretly is a concern.
That is a concern.
And then, of course, also what's going to tend to result from these lawsuits is just paranoid, nosy, hotels, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people are already, paranoid and nosy enough, aren't they? I mean, with all these Karens running around, reporting people for not having a mask on or something like that. Imagine how they're going to lose their minds. And probably already do, seeing prostitution where there is none.
You make a good point. I've gone to hotels to have sex before, and if an employee there stopped to ask me any questions about what I was doing there,
none of your business.
I would be extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, they want their clients to be comfortable. It says here the suit alleges she was subjected to repeated instances of rape, physical abuse, verbal abuse, and exploitation at the hotels for a period of 2 years. According to court paperwork, she was frequently seen by front desk workers crying with prominent bruises and bite marks on her body. Well, if I'm working at the front desk of a hotel and a woman is crying in the lobby, the only thing I think you might be able to do is go and ask, hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help? And
that's
then
how I would handle the situation.
Yeah, and if the girl says, no, I'm okay, just leave me alone, or whatever, right? Like, what are they going to say? Like, how are you supposed to do anything else besides that? Oh, you've got a bite mark on your arm. I'm calling the police. I mean, that presumes that something unconsensual was happening. I'm sure there's been plenty of people who've had a sexual relationship with one another, had some sort of a violent thing going on within that sexual, maybe consensually, right? Because some people are into that. And
then they get into an argument about
afterwards,
work or money or something.
Right afterwards. Or she finds out he was cheating on her or whatever. Something happens, and then she's out in the hotel lobby crying. That doesn't mean that she's been forced there against her will.
Yeah. So again, three more concerns that come up. First of all, why does this have to be settled at the federal level if it has to be
settled
by
a federal law?
Government? Yeah, I mean, where in the Constitution is the federal government given authority over prostitution or hotels, making hotels?
Yeah, but they don't care about that.
Enforcers? Well, I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying it's a concern. I'm not saying they do. I'm saying that they should, and it's a concern. Well, then I guess the second thing would be something I forgot. I guess I pulled a Joe Biden.
That's why you got to take notes. You got to take notes before you call in.
Did you also have brain surgery back in the late 80s?
Oh, no, I'm one of the peons. I can't afford brain surgery.
Well, Joe did back in 1988. He had 2 of them to treat a leaking aneurysm. It was life-threatening, and they saved his life, I guess. And now we have Joe here 30 years later almost.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for the call. I don't know that the brain surgery was really the cause of all this. I mean, he's old. Old people become senile all the time. But I remembered it was the Keene Best Western because I actually know someone who actually worked the front desk there as a supervisor for a brief period. She actually just quit there within the last month or two. And this is not a type of person who would have allowed any of this to go on had she known anything about it. The idea that she could have somehow known is absolutely absurd.
Did this girl actually go and tell some hotel staff, hey, those guys are holding me against my will?
It would seem not, right? I can't imagine any decent human being would just ignore that.
Yeah.
855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE as in Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another positive test. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. White House advisor Stephen Miller has been diagnosed with COVID-19. Miller, whose wife Katie is an aide to Vice President Mike Pence, tells Reuters he has been isolating for 5 days and working remotely. This coming after top members of the military have been put into quarantine. It's not clear how the virus spread so quickly in the administration.
There was the Amy Coney Barrett event on the 26th, and then there was a Gold Star Families event on the 27th here at the White House, at which the Joint Chiefs of Staff attended, and then there was the debate preparation, and then there was the debate. Well, now we learn that potentially as a result of that Gold Star Families event on the 27th, the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff have now had to quarantine after the Vice Commandant of the Coast Guard, Admiral Charles Ray, tested positive for coronavirus.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. The CDC says Vice President Mike Pence has again tested negative for the virus, clearing him for tomorrow's debate. President Trump has cut off talks on a new round of coronavirus relief.
The president says Democrats were asking to bail out poorly run Democrat states in no way related to COVID-19. Pelosi has sought to provide help to state and local government. She says that would prevent cuts to essential services and make up for pandemic spending. Without a bipartisan deal, enhanced unemployment insurance and additional small business relief is unlikely.
Fox's Jared Halpern. The Gulf Coast preparing for Hurricane Delta. The storm is now a Category 4 hurricane, and forecasters say it will hammer southeastern Mexico before approaching the U.S. later this week.
I'm encouraging everybody to use the time you have available to you between now and when it's too dangerous to continue to prepare or to evacuate, to get yourself, your family, in the best possible position for this storm.
Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards. America is listening to Fox News.
This year has challenged businesses across the globe to be their most efficient, which means every hire is critical. Indeed is here to help. Indeed.com is the #1 job site in the world because Indeed gets you the best people fast. Unlike other sites, Indeed gives you full control and payment flexibility over your hiring. You only pay for what you need. You can pause your account at any time, and there are no long-term contracts. Plus, Indeed provides powerful tools to make your search that much easier, like sponsored jobs, which are shown to be 3.5 times more likely to result in a hire. With 73% of online job seekers visiting Indeed each month, Indeed is going to get you the important hire you need, just like they have for over 3 million businesses. Right now, Indeed is offering our listeners a free $75 credit to boost your job post, which means more quality candidates will see it fast. Try Indeed out with a free $75 credit at Indeed.com/Fox. This is their best offer available anywhere. Go right now to Indeed.com/Fox. Terms and conditions apply. Offer valid through December 31st.
Another of President Trump's social media posts is restricted.
President Trump taking to Facebook and Twitter to say flu season is coming up. Many people every year, sometimes over 100,000, and despite the vaccine, die from the flu. Are we going to close down our country? No. We have learned to live with it, just like we are learning to live with COVID. In most populations, far less lethal. Facebook pulling the post, saying it removes incorrect information about the severity of COVID-19. Twitter hiding it behind a warning, saying it violates its rules about spreading misleading and potentially harmful information related to the virus. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer has signed legislation that will allow clerks in cities or townships of at least 25,000 people to start processing absentee ballots 1 day before Election Day. About 2.7 million voters in the state have requested ballots. An FBI command post is set up in New Mexico as a precautionary effort to protect the state's election.
It's a joint effort between New Mexico's Democratic Secretary.
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
A new medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll never stop feeling like this.
Everyone can smell the marijuana on your breath and on your clothes. Everyone is laughing at you.
Additionally, the in-depth report reveals that despite trying to act cool, you're definitely laughing too much and everyone is messing with you.
Your parents know you're high. Your friends know you're high. Strangers on the street know you're high. If you're young and you smoke marijuana, you will probably never be able to find a job. And if you're an adult, you will most likely be fired. If you hear a noise, that's probably the police, and you're probably going to jail.
While previous studies suggested that it's all good and that we're all made of the same stuff that makes stars, new research indicates that your brain got broken and you shouldn't have done this. Doctors say the study raises important questions such as, what if that wasn't just marijuana and how are you going to get home?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Aria.
And Ian.
And Conan.
And the U.S. government is working very hard to destroy the U.S. dollar. I think everyone here on the show agrees with that. They may or may not realize that's what they're doing. Well, they're ultimately trying to concentrate all of the wealth into the hands of a few, and the destruction of the dollar is the easiest way for them to do that. The easiest and fastest way for them to do that. But they're not the only government in the world. In fact, all the governments throughout the world are in a race, it would seem, to destroy their currencies the fastest. Venezuela has been doing an excellent job with this, despite inventing a, quote, cryptocurrency that no one seems to be able to actually find that actually exists.
Called, the Petro?
Yeah, called the Petro. In addition to that, they're printing up a new denomination of their own bill, a 100,000 Bolivar note.
That's right.
Now, this is
100,000.
Now, this isn't new for them, right? Don't they regularly just like knock off zeros, or is that?
Yeah. So the Venezuelan bolivar is currently in its third iteration.
One day they'll try it and they'll figure it out and they'll get it right.
No, they won't.
I know they won't.
No, they're getting it right, because the whole point of centrally planned money and central banks is to inflate the money supply and transfer wealth from the people to the politicians, the bankers, and the politically connected class. And they're just doing it at a much faster clip in Venezuela than they're doing it here in the United States. All of the illusions have been brushed aside in Venezuela of legitimacy and all of that. And they're just going ahead and pumping the cash printer as hard as they can. The money printer is going very, very fast over in Venezuela. And they're now talking about adding a 100,000 Bolivar bill. So they've never had a 100,000 Bolivar note before.
Okay.
Because of what you were saying. They've been knocking zeros off of their currency. I believe it was, like 3 zeros the first time they did it, and then 5 zeros the more.
They knocked off like 7 at one point, didn't they? Or was that Zimbabwe?
That sounds like Zimbabwe toward the end of the Zimbabwe dollar. But
there's a 10 trillion Zimbabwe note up there on the wall.
Yeah, 5 zeros is no laughing matter. I mean, that's a lot of zeros to knock off of something. If you think about 5 zeros coming off of 100,000, it goes from 100,000 to 1.
Yeah.
So it's a huge drop, and they knocked the 5 zeros off back, and I think it was 2018. It was either 2018 or 2017. I'll have to look into that. But it wasn't long ago, 2 or 3 years ago. They knocked.
And they've already inflated it back to the point where they need this 100,000 note back.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah, no, it's not bizarre. This is the way things go.
Well, it's bizarre that the people of Venezuela are
putting up with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is like these politicians can get away with some pretty horrific things and not actually be forced out of office or burned out of office. I mean, there was one time that Maduro got chased by people in the streets. This was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. There was video. He'd visited some island off the coast of Venezuela. It wasn't like Trinidad, but it was one of their islands, the Venezuelan islands, and he was like, for whatever reason, he was out. He was trying to like be among the people or something like that. And these people were like banging pots and pans and running after him, and like a crowd of people, they managed to get him away. So, I mean, maybe they would have done something bad to him if they'd actually.
It sounds like they probably would have
gotten their hands on him.
Not that I encourage that.
Well, I mean, I don't encourage violence, but on the other hand, I wouldn't blame these people for if they had the opportunity.
They're the victims here, for sure.
I mean, these people are hungry. I mean, that's if there's a time when something's going to change politically, it's when people are not fat. It's when people are hungry because they literally cannot find enough food to eat. It's not because they don't want to. It's because they can't get enough food. They don't have enough money. There's not enough food physically available to them to actually eat more than 2 meals per day. So people are absolutely hungry there. But yet, despite all the hunger, this man is still in charge. Maduro is still the president. They're still
we don't
pumping
know that
money
they can
out.
really do anything about that if they wanted to.
If there were enough people who wanted to, they could storm the Capitol and they could do anything they wanted. But people are very docile and they're very obedient. I mean, look around, right?
Look around.
We've got people all over the place. Even the ones who don't want to do it are putting on masks. Even the ones who supposedly are against it. Right, well, you want to have that job, so you put the mask on. Yeah. And that's true with a lot of people. And if people were to not do those things,
but I'm also suing the city of Keene over it.
So. You're doing a lot more than the average person is willing to do. Most people just want to get along and go along. But in the United States, we're fat and we're happy.
Yeah.
In Venezuela,
no change is ever going to come.
Not yet.
Until the people are hungry.
Right. Being hungry. Take away the sports. Take away the entertainment.
Well, they've done that.
Well, partially.
Step one. Well,
yeah.
I mean, what movies
the Patriots just played yesterday.
Year?
They did not take away the sports.
Yeah, but no one's watching it.
Somebody's got to be watching it.
Their numbers are in the tank.
Yeah,
no one is
NHL's
watching it.
But you got to also, hockey's up.
Really? Do they have people in the audience? Don't they have cardboard cutouts like all the other teams?
There's different ways they're handling that stuff from what I've seen. I don't know if it's by the league or by the team, but sometimes. Well, anyway, let's get back into Venezuela. So you'd asked the question about cutting off the zeros, and we'd have to go back into the history. There was the original Bolivar, then there was the Bolivar Fuerte, and I think that's where they cut off the 3 zeros. And then the Bolivar Fuerte, which stands for Strong Bolivar. So the original Bolivar was replaced by the Strong Bolivar, which was then replaced in like 2018 or 2017 by the Bolivar Soberano, which stands for Sovereign Bolivar, because now it's sovereign on its 3rd iteration, where it wasn't before. And that was where they knocked off 5 zeros. And I remember we were following this. We've been following Venezuela very closely here on Free Talk Live, or at least as closely as we can for an American radio show that doesn't have any Spanish speakers natively on it. But so when we were watching this happen, I went to my favorite website to talk about with Venezuela, DolarToday.com, and they've got this handy little tool at the top of the site, little kind of graph chart thing that shows you the price of a U.S. dollar in Venezuelan bolivar.
You said this is DolarToday.com?
Yeah, DOLAR, DolarToday.com. Now, the site is in Spanish, but
sure.
You don't
I just want to see the graph.
Yeah, you don't need – it's not really a graph. It's like more of a display.
Okay.
But you don't need to know Spanish to see this. 452,042 is the number of bolivars that you can get for a U.S. dollar on the black market in Venezuela. Now, obviously, your results are going to vary, right? Like, it depends on who your dealers are or whatever, right? But this is a general idea of what the current going rate.
So a 100,000 bolivar note would be worth about 20
less than 25 cents. Yeah.
22, 23, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And the 100,000 bolivar note would be their largest note. So they're debating whether or not they should even have this note. But if they do come out with it, so that gives you some idea of how weak this particular currency is, and how
these people have been robbed to levels that are absolutely inhumane.
Yeah, it's a raping level of robbery. I mean, this is absolutely shocking. That number, 452,042 today, 3 years ago when the switchover happened, it was 72 to 1.
Which is still not good.
No, that's not good. But that's what that was the scam was, we're going to knock all these zeros off and we're going to, fix the currency. And everybody must have known that it was going to keep shooting up. And it did. And now it's at 452,042.
And it's going to get worse because they're going
to
they're going to create this new note.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about this in 3 months where it's going to be 4 million bolivars are equal to a quarter in USD.
Yeah. Until they knock seven zeros off like they did in Zimbabwe or whatever their next move is going to be. And you know what? It was getting so bad in Venezuela that the credit card machines, they only have so many characters that you can put in them, right? So like when you're ringing up a sale...
You can't charge someone $78 trillion,
right?
Yeah. So do they have to have special software then?
No, that's part of the reason why they knocked the zeros off.
Thereby taking everyone's money and running with it.
That's all this has been. But yeah, so that's the news. I mean, I didn't even read the news. We were just kind of recapping the insanity of what's been happening.
Yeah, and I remember reading stories about the people in Venezuela having to boil sewage because they had no other water to drink, constantly having power outages. It's absolutely horrific what is going on there. 855-450-3733 is the call-in number. That's 855-450-FREE, as in... free? I don't know, man.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we had a huge scoop of Dinovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Dinovite. She's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Aria, Ian, and Conan. And, I was just thinking during the break that we're laughing about the destruction of the Venezuelan Bolivar, but we have to remember that several senators or representatives or treasurers or whoever, some politicians recently were talking about the need to print trillion-dollar coins for the United States, or mint trillion-dollar coins, which was...
Were they really talking about that?
Yeah, so we could pay our debts off.
Which was just going to be a coin with the number stamped on it that said 1 trillion. That's not like it was...
I don't see why not, honestly.
You mean to destroy the system faster?
Well, I mean, I don't think it would destroy the system, but it would be a way for them to actually pay off the debt. I mean, it probably would destroy the system faster, but that's the only way it could ever be paid off.
Yeah, the idea first emerged in 2011 after the debt ceiling crisis. So, I mean, this is something that's actually been floated as an idea. So Venezuela, they're at 100,000, and the U.S. government's like, hey, hold my beer. And we're the wealthy country. We're the wealthy ones in the world. We're the ones who haven't supposedly been completely run over by our government's inflation. And yet we're finding ourselves in the need for $1 trillion coin. So just imagine how bad it really is in parts of the world like Venezuela.
Yeah, well, I've got a related story to this as well about the crazy trillions that they've been printing up this year. Remember, the so-called stimulus package was a few $1 trillion, right? And they're working on another one now, supposedly, that they've been fighting playing political football over. So already we've seen that. Here's the headline from Bitcoin.com: the Fed's 2020 pump eclipses 2 centuries of U.S. dollar creation. Research shows the Federal Reserve has pumped over $9 trillion since September of 2019 to primary dealers by leveraging enormous emergency repo operations. A recently published investigative report shows the U.S. Central Bank submits the daily loan tally, but the Fed will not provide the public with information concerning the recipients. Estimates say in 2020 alone, the U.S. has created 22% of all the U.S. dollars issued since the birth of the nation. So in just this year, they've created 22% of all U.S. dollars ever issued in the history of the U.S. dollar.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that means the actual inflation number for this year is 22%.
That's a way to look at it. I'm not going to say that that's right necessarily.
Well, I'm sure the economists will come along and they'll do some complex calculus and they'll say, oh, no, look, it's actually only 0.5%. But all of the...
This is not good. Whatever it is, it's a lot of printing going on.
Yes. And not quite Venezuela bad.
No, and the difference is, and look, I'm not an economist or whatever, but one big difference between the U.S. and Venezuela is the Venezuelan bolivar is not being used in other countries in the world. Right?
So because it's worthless.
Well, it's worthless, number one, but prior to it being worthless, it really wasn't being used elsewhere. Like the U.S. dollar is used in many, many places. In Zimbabwe, for instance, once the Zimbabwe dollar, the S hit the fan with that, the U.S. dollar was sort of brought in to stabilize things, and people have been using the U.S. dollar there since. The Zimbabwe dollar tried to make a comeback, and they immediately started inflating it again. But the people were smart enough to not go with it, from what I understand. They learned their lesson. They didn't forget it. And so the U.S. dollar has a much larger sort of installed user base. There's a heck of a lot more of it out there. So if they're inflating it at a higher rate, it doesn't have the same impact immediately as what they're doing in Venezuela. And when you look at what they did in Venezuela originally with the original Bolivar, remember we're on the third iteration of it now. So it was Bolivar, then Bolivar Fuerte, which happened in 2008, according to Wikipedia, where they knocked 3 zeros off, meaning a 1,000 Bolivar bill went to a 1. And, right, imagine if your $100 bill became 10 cents.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did. And then...
Well, the buying power probably didn't change, right? It's just the number that we're talking about.
That's correct. I mean, the buying power is constantly changing. It's constantly getting weaker and weaker. So they're just playing games, essentially, by knocking these zeros off and trying to fool people into thinking that, you know, the money's worth something again. And it doesn't stay that way. But it's interesting because it took a certain amount of time to get to where they were ready to knock 3 zeros off. Then it took another decade before they knocked 5 zeros off. Okay, so now you're talking about taking a 100,000 Bolivar bill and turning that into a 1 Bolivar bill. It's a huge drop, right? Like that's a huge number.
But you know, the course of going from a 1 Bolivar to a 100,000 Bolivar, it was before those zeros are knocked off, that road is inflation and pulling wealth away from the people of Venezuela into the hands of the politicians and the bankers.
Right. And remember, minimum wage doesn't keep up with inflation. It doesn't keep up with it in this country, okay, let alone in Venezuela, right? So as the money supply is inflating...
minimum wage is an unworkable, broken idea in the first place.
No doubt. But the point I'm making is the people aren't getting constant raises as the hyperinflation is going up. So what's happening is their standard of living is going into the toilet as the hyperinflation is happening. And now, according to Al Jazeera, who's reporting here on the 100,000 Bolivar note, according to the story, they are beginning to import banknote paper and are considering to possibly print bills with larger denominations. The central bank is considering 100,000 Bolivar bills. It would be the highest denomination yet, but worth only about 23 U.S. cents. Press officials for these investors declined to comment on the paper shipments, which came from Brazil. The need for larger bills in Venezuela is a direct result of the ever-weakening currency and inflation that ran at an estimated 2,400% in the last year. Meaning that paying for a cart full of groceries now requires a bag of cash. And I mean a big bag of cash.
Yeah, let's say a loaf of bread, $3, right? Mm-hmm. And according to the numbers we're looking at, 100,000 bolivars is equal to about a nickel.
Equal to about 23 cents.
No, I said 100,000.
That's
400,000 is equal to 23 cents. So 100,000 is going to be equal to about 5 cents.
No, 400,000 is equal to about $1.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. So anyway, regardless, they have to have...
But don't worry, give it a week and 400,000 will be worth 23 cents.
Yes, because that's why they're printing this new note.
Earlier this year, Venezuela turned to state... Now, this is interesting because longtime listeners will remember Venezuela turned to state-owned money printer in Russia to purchase 300 million of new bills after racking up debts with De La Rue. Now,
so they're not even printing their own.
They don't have their own central printer, right? They have a central bank, but they don't have their own printing press. They have to hire out a company to do this. And what we reported on a couple of years ago was they mentioned this company De La Rue. Now, your average person doesn't know what De La Rue is. I'd never heard of them before.
I don't know what they are.
Do you know what they are?
Sounds like a cologne.
They're a printing house. They do state money printing for states like Venezuela that don't have their own printing press. So these guys are like scum of the earth, probably, right? Like it's their job.
Absolutely.
Their clients are governments, essentially. But what happened was the Venezuelan government owed De La Rue money.
And I assume they wouldn't take the Bolivar as payment.
Exactly. They're not going to take the Bolivar as payment. They couldn't pay with anything else to settle their debts, so De La Rue told them, take a hike. We don't want your business anymore. So now Venezuela is going to their client state, their buddy state or whatever. You could argue Venezuela is the client state of Russia. So now Russia's doing their money printing for them.
855-450-3733. What a hellhole that place really must be because of its government.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Document leak shows trillions of dollars of illegal activity by major banks. Alibaba files more blockchain patents than any other company in 2020. MicroStrategies, a publicly traded company, bought $175 million worth of Bitcoin last week. As little as 2/3 of Bitcoins will ever circulate. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything on your mind at 855-450-3733. And you can join Ian and myself and Conan, who's also in the studio. I doubt he will actually be going there, but you can join Ian and I at ForkFest 2021 From June the 28th through July the 5th for ForkFest 2021, again at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. It happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and it's decentralized, which means no one's in charge. No one can tell you what to do, well, except Rogers Campground, the people who own the place where it's happening.
And they're pretty hands-off.
Yeah, they don't bother us. There's also no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June the 28th through July the 4th. And we're better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. There's even fireworks you can check out. Last year, there was a rock show. Hopefully, there'll be another one this year, but I doubt it.
As in rock and roll music, just to be clear. Rock show could sound like a really boring.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to that. I'm going to check out your rocks.
Look at some crystals.
Okay, fair point.
Well, if it's that kind of rocks, maybe...
You can learn more about it at forkfest.party. There's links to the Forkfest forum, the unofficial Telegram chat, and again, the unofficial website, forkfest.party. We hope to see you there June the 28th through July the 5th. It's going to be a great time. I'm already looking forward to it.
I heard the captain was already thinking about different things he was going to be performing or doing or whatever this year, or next year. Yeah.
Awesome.
He didn't say what.
It'll be fun to get into. So, the destruction of Venezuela at the hands of their government. I was correct. There were stories in early 2019. I guess at that point I would have mentioned them on Call to Freedom, which is a show I used to do. But yes, the Venezuelans at one point, due to power outages, were forced to drink sewage water because they had nothing else to drink because their government. So, and I was also thinking about this situation where Venezuela is paying someone else to print their money, right? But that printing company obviously won't take the money they're printing as payment.
Because it's garbage.
Yeah. That's exactly what we have here in the United States. It just so happens that the Federal Reserve is institutionalized. But I mean, that's essentially what the United States does.
I see what you're saying. You're saying the Federal Reserve is essentially a private company, and so they're being hired.
It's just printing the money for the United States government.
Right?
The United States government gives them treasury bonds.
Yeah. Well, I mean... I believe there's like some amount of their board that's appointed though by the president. It might just be one member or something like that, but it's kind of like as independent as the post office is independent, which is to say kinda but not really, as I understand it.
Yeah, but we have a whole lot of laws and crap that keep us from doing running our business the way that we'd like to.
Oh yeah, there probably aren't as many laws that affect the Federal Reserve. Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of their board members are behind the scenes writing the laws that benefit them.
Well, we know that the Federal Reserve Act was written by bankers.
Of course.
So, I mean, yeah, they're absolutely still writing all of the regulations and all of that nonsense. But yeah, the U.S. government, it just has these treasury notes and it gives them to the feds and the Fed prints up the money for them. I really can't see what a difference is between the Fed.
Well, now they're using the Russian government. So yeah. there's a recent change in Venezuela, which is to say that the private printer that they had been hiring is no longer willing to do business with them because they don't pay their debts.
Yeah.
Or on time. They don't pay them when they're due, basically.
So I wonder what currency these printing companies, what did you say they were called?
I don't know of what they are called, but there is a company that is called De La Rue that was their former printer.
That's what I was getting at. I wonder what they accept as payment.
Dollars. Probably euros as well.
I would expect it to be gold or cryptocurrency.
Well, your typical government doesn't really have cryptocurrency of any significant number. I mean, every now and then they'll like bust a drug dealer or something, and then they sell that like Russ Ulbricht, they had his crypto for a while, and then they sold it so they could get more dollars. And some governments do have gold, but they probably want to hold on to it if they're smart. Now, some of them also don't have the gold they say they do. That's the old mystery of the, was it the Federal Reserve or Fort Knox? Fort Knox.
Probably nothing in it.
Does Fort Knox have the gold in it that it's supposed to have? Conspiracy theory is that they don't.
Well, I see no reason to believe they have any gold at all.
That's the theory.
I have no theory about it, but it's the government.
Mm-hmm.
They've spent their entire lives transferring actual wealth away from...
Yeah. Well, and if you were the government and you needed to pay a money printer, why wouldn't you pay with dollars instead of gold? Like if you had both of them.
Yeah.
Same reason that most people with crypto won't pay with crypto. They don't want to let go of the thing that could appreciate in value.
Still, I just can't trust the government when they say, we have a lot of gold.
No, you can't.
I would be surprised if they have any. Didn't Russia Today recently talk about this? I seem to recall it was when Mark, and I were on, because Mark went on to this lengthy tirade about You being a Russian propagandist or something?
Oh, I don't know.
So what else is going on with the Bolivar?
Well, according to Al Jazeera, again, now the Russian government is taking over the printing of their money. That's because Russia's government and Venezuela's government are buddy-buddy, so it's sort of like the axis of evil or whatever, by whatever Bush used to call, I think it was Iran and North Korea and whatever the third one was. But
I think Venezuela was the third one.
Yeah, those are the three.
Was Venezuela on the axis? Okay. Well,
unless it was Cuba.
No, it was Venezuela.
Venezuela's economy is in its 7th straight year of recession and forecast to shrink another 20% this year due to the coronavirus lockdown and the collapse of oil revenue. Imagine how devastating the lockdowns must be on an economy that was already in the pits. That's terrifying. Previous attempts to bring stability to the currency by cutting off zeros and printing new bills have failed. Well, yeah, that's not how you bring stability to a currency.
No, that's literally making it more unstable. People have no idea if they're going to wake up the next day and the government's going to declare, oh, yeah, you can just ignore those 5 zeros.
Turn in your money. That's what you have to do, is you have to, if you've got all these old bills.
So that's what they do? They do a conversion thing?
Yeah. You've got to exchange the money.
I assume they just, use date stamps or something to determine that this $100,000 note is actually worth a 1. But you're right, that is kind of complicated. So it's got to be expensive for the government as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's why you see the clip of the crazy tactics increasing. Right, so over time, as the government gets even more ridiculous with its money printing, they have to knock the zeros off sooner, right? So the last knockoff was 2018, but the one before that was 2008. Well, I bet you it'll be sooner than 10 years for the next big cut to if it even survives that long, right? Like if Maduro isn't lynched, if the government isn't literally burned out of its buildings between now and then, it may only be 3 years or 5 years before they come back in and they're like, all right, we're cutting 6 zeros off now. Right? It's already gone up, according to the Wikipedia article that I pulled up about the Bolivar Soberano just a few moments ago. It had gone up like 16 or 1.6 million% or something like that. I may be missing a zero there, but it's in the last 2 years since the revaluation of the currency. I mean, it is just an absolute mess. Authorities have turned a blind eye to a greater number of transactions being carried out in U.S. dollars, with Ecoanalytica estimating that some 60% of all purchases in Venezuela are now done using greenbacks. Isn't that interesting?
When they say greenbacks, they mean
the
USD?
U.S. dollar.
Okay.
Yeah. So this happened, I think, late last year, where it was getting some news. We covered it here on Free Talk Live that Venezuela officially...
We covered it during the last Fork Fest.
...was looking the other way. They were like, okay, well, it's not legal for you to be using dollars, but we don't want our people to starve and burn us out of our homes, so okay, we'll just go ahead and let you unofficially use them. So that's what's happening.
Now, is it legal to use euros or something like that here in the United States?
I don't think there's a prohibition on it, no, but...
You just have to find a vendor who's willing to take it.
It'd be a hard time finding a local merchant who's willing to take euros.
But we don't have a hard time finding them to take Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, it's not easy.
Well, no. I mean, somebody's putting in the work.
Yeah.
But me, as a customer, I can find plenty of places at which to spend Bitcoin.
Sure. You also live in crypto Mecca, where there are plenty of places to spend Bitcoin. Most of the people
quite nice.
who come here have never spent Bitcoin in their lives, and they're like, you can spend Bitcoin?
And Bitcoin Cash and Dash and Bitcoin SV. Yes, I had, what did I have today? I don't remember what I had today, but I paid for it with cryptocurrency. Yeah, that was it. 855-450-3733. Use crypto to spare yourself from government inflation. It's Free Talk Live.
Do you want to give you and your loved ones premium nutrition right now? Hi, I'm Jamel Bookaboo from TeamGaday.com and the GCN Longevity Health Team. Get your premium nutrition formulated by world-renowned naturopathic doctor, Dr. Joel Wallach at Wholesale, or also become a distributor and earn income while supporting this broadcast. Go to teamgaday.com via the shopping cart or contact form, and I'll get back to you with support personally. That's teamgaday.com with longevity. teamgaday.com.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from MyPatriotSupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's MyPatriotSupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. MyPatriotSupply.com.
What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live with Arya, Ian, and Conan tonight. And I want to thank you, Syracuse Joe, who is tonight's amplifier. That means he contributes to the AMP program. You can find out more about that at amp.freetalklive.com. If you like the show, if you support what we're doing, the best way to help us reach a larger audience is to contribute to the AMP program. It comes with a number of cool little perks: an AMP-only call-in line, an actual landline you can call the studio directly, an AMP-only Facebook group, and some other cool features like that. Again, that's at amp.freetalklive.com. Contributions to it are used strictly to advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live, hence its name. So, Syracuse Joe, I want to say thanks. I hope you like the show, and I hope you plan to continue amplifying it. So, a lot's happened in the world today that was just completely and totally stupid. But among those things that happened was a funeral in the UK, a funeral home held a memorial service for someone. I'm going to describe the video to you as it plays because it's otherwise pretty silent. Now, it's socially distanced, and everyone is like 6 feet apart.
I don't think you have the audio on.
I probably don't. You know me, I'm inept. No, there's audio.
The man up front is
I may have actually
speaking.
muted the tab, though.
Yeah, the man up front there is speaking in the video.
No, there's just doesn't seem to be any. That's very strange. So these people were socially distanced. All of the chairs were like 6 feet apart. Some maybe even, I don't know, they were probably 2 meters since it's the UK. And the son of this grieving woman brings his chair over to comfort his mother, whose husband has just died.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else attempts to do that as well. I don't know who it is. We know at least one of these people. It's the son.
It's on the other. It's on the Discord one. That's what I just unmuted. You're gonna have to turn that down instead. Restart it there so you can hear it.
I therefore offer you all a very warm welcome as we unite in love and friendship to.
You have to put the chairs back, I'm afraid. You can't move the chairs to yourself.
You have to put the chairs back, I'm afraid. You can't move the chairs as you were told, is what he says.
Now, was this the funeral director or something?
Yes, some sort of suited man with a mask comes in and tells these men that they have to get away from their own. I presume they're her sons, right?
Well, the son
they're sitting up
describes them as being her. At least one of them is the woman's son. Yes.
And when you say the son, you mean the UK's son, which is a.
Yes, that's why I tried to. Yeah. I realized as soon as I started saying that was not helpful.
And the sad part is like, I mean, the whole thing is so sad because this is a funeral. This is this woman. She's now literally sitting alone by herself, basically, at this funeral. Her sons are not allowed to be near, but that they're so obedient. I mean, yeah, they were being disobedient initially, but then when the man with the suit comes in, you were told. Well, then they just pick up their chairs and they move them over. What's this guy in the suit gonna do if they're like, go away? We paid you for this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would like to have seen.
Yeah. What's he gonna do? How many suited men does he have? Are they gonna literally go in and drag these men out of the funeral? Out of the funeral they paid for?
Probably not. But one never knows. I mean, it's their business.
He has a suit. He might even have a badge, and that's all it takes.
Well, a lot of people just do what they're
experiment.
told.
It's all about the badge.
Okay.
I don't think it necessarily is. A lot of people just, if you tell them something in an authoritative way, they will obey.
Well, yes.
Try this sometimes. Mm-hmm. Walk up to a random person on the street and just hand them something. 9 times out of 10, they will take it.
Well, yeah, but now tell them to take that,
handing them.
Hand them a pen and tell them to go stab somebody with it. Well, they're not going to do it.
He didn't ask them to stab anyone.
Well, he might as well have, because they may be stabbing their mother in their heart or in her heart because they have to leave. I mean, the one guy had put his arm around his mom to comfort her during this, and now she has to sit alone during this funeral. I mean, what a horrifying thing!
And this is the same idea behind the locking down of the elderly homes, the senior home, the retirement centers.
Yeah, you can't go and see your loved ones.
This is your mom's last year on this planet, and she might get the corona.
Sorry, Mom, can't be hugging you during the funerals. The man in the suit says we can't do it.
Let's go to the phones. We got David calling from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, I'd like to add on that thing is that you can't visit your dying mom in the home because there's a speculation, a possibility of an infection. But the known fact is that if you don't allow the elderly person to be visited, that is an actual act of abuse.
Mm.
So which one trumps? I would say the known factual act of abuse against the elder by denying them what is a known human need trumps the speculation of the possibility that a virus could transfer.
Agreed.
I think
And it ignores the human's right to make a choice and take a risk for themselves. So even though we're dismissing the chances of COVID being a danger or whatever, maybe some people are worried about it. That's fine. They can make whatever choices they want to. But this mom, she should be able to choose to allow her sons to be nearby her if that's what she wants to do. And she's being told that's not an option.
And Dave, I would say your argument works the same with children. Having them all masked up and having them segregated from each other. Their desks 6 feet apart, and they can't play sports with each other. There are plenty of communities that are embracing that, and that
no hugging.
That is child abuse.
Right. And the bottom line is for all of this stuff is it comes back to the same question. Well, what you going to do about it? And it's up to all of us to actually physically enforce our own rights instead of,
absolutely.
Saying,
but as long as people are going to pick up the chairs and move them away from their own mother at a funeral, that gives you some example of how docile and how obedient people are. And you mentioned schools. I got a story. Winter Springs, Florida, a lawyer for this from Fox New York, of a 16-year-old boy who was arrested last month after refusing to wear a mask at Central Florida High School, called the incident government abuse of a teen suffering from panic attacks. Winter Springs High School sophomore, who was named redacted on the report, was arrested after refusing to wear a mask and abide by other school rules, which violated a probation order that required him to maintain good behavior in school. The family's attorney said his record didn't justify what he viewed as an uncalled-for action. Should they be arresting a 16-year-old child, and that's insulting, he's not a child, knowing that he already has a medical condition, he said. In a statement, the law firm called the arrest government abuse and said, quote, "We'll be seeking just and fair compensation for the illegal arrest and the harm this action has caused."
That's what a lot of people forget. This kid, he had anxiety attacks as a result of wearing masks. I'm sorry to all the liberals out there are valid reasons that people will say, no, I'm not putting on a mask. We've talked about it before. People who have been raped, for example, giving them flashbacks.
Like had their mouths covered during a rape, for instance.
And this culture you're creating of mask-shaming people for not wearing masks, you are shaming rape victims.
Yep. They don't care anymore.
And their response, get that kid a therapist and some Ritalin.
Get in line.
Get in line. We'll give you some pills.
The boys, make sure you stay 6 feet apart.
Meanwhile, they champion the causes of, I'm with her and listen to her or whatever the hashtag is. And, they pretend to care about mental health. Clearly, they don't. They want to force this child to wear a mask, the 16-year-old, to wear a mask despite his anxiety attacks.
The young man's mother told the newspaper her son has an anxiety disorder, as she says he was arrested after going to the school office to ask for water because he was feeling panicky and was having trouble breathing in the mask. The newspaper quoted mom as saying, quote,
So the reason he was arrested in the first place was because of a mask?
He had a mask, apparently, and was not able to breathe. He had like a panic attack or something like that.
Those things happen.
Took it off, went to the office to request some water, because apparently you can't just go drink it out of the water fountain anymore. And then they called the cops on him.
That is absolutely insane.
Mom said to the newspaper, quote, "I couldn't grasp it at first because of a mask. I was just in disbelief," she said. A report from the sheriff's office states the boy had been instructed to obey school rules as a condition of his probation. It did not say what the probation was for. The report said that on September 1st, he refused to obey school rules, including wearing a mask and social distancing, and that he had received a warning, and he was caught vaping in the cafeteria.
None of which
hellion.
Yeah, none of that is arrestable offenses.
It is today.
It was probably stupid of him to vape in the cafeteria. Do that in the boys' room.
I'm guessing he was arrested for violation of probation in this case.
That's what it sounds like.
The most common arrest of somebody after they get convicted for something.
Well, that's what they do when they want to actually, arrest you and put you in jail without actually convicting you of anything that would result in jail time.
Thankfully, Mom's doing something smart here. She says the family is moving. He's not going back to the school. He'll do an online education program from here out.
Awesome.
Yep.
I hope it's homeschooling. Well, this has been Free Talk Live. Head on over to freetalklive.com to check out the archives there going back more than 10 years. And again, check out the AMP program. If you like the show, if you want to help us out in some way, that's the best way to do it. That's amp.freetalklive.com. We'll be back same time tomorrow, same time, 7 nights a week.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was